56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Monday. Bryant and Brett with you after a great weekend of football from Friday night all the way to last night, and we'll get some more with 2 Monday night football games tonight. But like I said, Brett and Bryant with you in our Family Leisure studios for the next 3 hours. We're going to talk a lot of football over these next 3 hours after the weekend. But Brett, you were in Tuscaloosa this weekend, a very intriguing matchup between Ole Miss and Alabama. How was your weekend down in Alabama?
It was fun to be there, and it was a good game, 7-6 at halftime. I didn't think it would be like that. I thought it would be more of a track meeting, really, for Ole Miss to win. They needed more of a make-it-take-it game as it turned into a line of scrimmage game, and Ole Miss got mauled by the Alabama offensive and defensive fronts, and only 56 yards rushing for Ole Miss all day, and that is exactly what Quinshon Judkins rushed for. And Alabama found their run game, and they also found maybe not their fastball, but it's a little bit like that veteran baseball pitcher after he's lost maybe his best stuff, and he just has to learn how to get people out. Saturday, Alabama just had to learn to get to the locker room with a win and kind of stop all the grousing. The pregame, everybody, fans, media, friends I've known for a long time that know that program well, the apprehension, the gloom, the doom, the almost resolve to Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding are going to come in here and beat him today. But like I warned about last week, I thought Ole Miss would win. And so I'm categorically wrong. But I warned a couple of times last week about 2 coaches, Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. Both of them playing historically what's been easy outs for them. Ole Miss for Nick Saban and the Jets for Bill Belichick. They found their go-to. Maybe not their go-to pitch, but they were able to get them out.
They were able to record some outs and get out of there for sure.
A little bit like Wainwright down the stretch.
A little bit, especially that last game, Mr. 200.
Just put up some zeros, give your team a chance to win. And I thought the halftime adjustments by Alabama were really extraordinary for Coach Nick Saban and for Kevin Steele's defense. And they had a spy on Dart, and Ole Miss had a spy on Jalen Milroe, and the Bama spy played really well, and Alabama able to get the win. And after the last 2 years against them, last year in Oxford, 30-24, driving at the end of the game, felt like going to win 31-30, not to be. That was against Bryce Young. Okay, you can kind of lick your wounds, and that was against one of the preeminent college players ever, the best quarterback in the history of Alabama. That Saturday, I mean, if you don't get them then and don't go back for a while, no, not playing anywhere next year, then when are you going to get them? But you can't think about that too long, because LSU this weekend, I thought the 3 local teams on the shoulda, coulda front, Arkansas absolutely should have won.
Oh, absolutely.
Tigers coulda, and then in the next order that Ole Miss. The time for Ole Miss to win, though, was in the first half.
Oh, absolutely.
That's when Bama was really gettable. And the crowd, again, anxious about it, thinking, here we go again, maybe a chance to take them out of it. For Ole Miss, that 7-6 halftime lead, I know the points didn't factor in that much, but missing the chip shot field goal right before the half, the whole kind of moxie feel of the game, it felt like it changed a little bit with that. Bama kind of got their sea legs, and then they were off and cooking. Look, that Alabama defense, they have at least 3, maybe 4, and you could possibly make a case for 5 defensive players that could start for anybody in the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Anybody.
100%.
2 or 3 more guys that starts for the top 15 teams in the country. Would you say so?
Yeah, absolutely.
15 to 20 teams. And then the others would be really good players for most everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a great team, and so I know a lot of people were down on them, especially after what they kind of showed through those first 3 weeks. But like you said, I mean, it's It's Nick Saban, and it's hard to. I'd never bet against him. I don't like to bet against him, and that was one. I heard Lane Kiffin during Reb Talk on Thursday, and he was kind of talking about very, very confident and extremely confident. But he made a couple comments about, Nick Saban doesn't get on social media, but he has somebody that looks at social media for him. He doesn't listen to the noise, but he has somebody listening to the noise for him. And so for Nick Saban, he's not one of those coaches that it's going to be on social media or is out there in the public eye or really paying attention to a lot of the things outside of the football field. But for him, that was a game that even though he's never going to say it, he had that one circled. I mean, he wanted to beat Lane Kiffin, and he kind of, I think, we've talked for such a long time about the success Nick Saban has had against former assistants. And I don't think that's by accident. Yes, those have been great teams for Alabama, but I do think, even though Nick Saban would never admit to it or let anybody find out, I think he does, carry some sort of pride around that none of my assistants are going to beat me. It's happened once, but it's happened a couple times now, but it's not going to become a trend where my assistants are beating me. And so I think he takes a lot of pride in games like this, and I think you saw that on Saturday.
Not entirely with all the former coaches, but a little bit of this old saying. I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, he's the best for a reason. We call him the greatest college coach of all time, and he's earned that moniker. And
sure has.
It's a reason we call him that. And it's not to go out there and have a losing season or to struggle in conference play. And so, there's a ton of question marks on that team, and I don't think Saturday's win cleared all those question marks. I think there's still question marks, but I think maybe it helped a little bit for that Alabama team, who I think was leaking confidence, and maybe that fan base a little bit.
I would love hear from people today at 901-360-8255. How did you consume Saturday? How much did you consume? I was busy with my Ole Miss obligations for a lot of the day, basically from 9:30 in the morning until about 8:30. So I didn't get plopped down in front of the TV back in Birmingham till about 8:30 or so, 8:45 or so to watch the games. And they were just terrific all day. I mean, looking at scores, seeing TVs on, and trying to follow it. It's really hard to consume and enjoy like that. But I certainly enjoyed where I was. I wanted the outcome to be different, but wouldn't trade what I was doing for anything. But the first game of the day lived up to it.
It sure did. It absolutely did.
Clemson did everything but beat FSU.
Mm-hmm. I mean, literally everything.
You felt, you sensed a real changing of the guard.
You did. You absolutely did. And that was a fantastic game. I mean, Clemson goes up big, and it really looks like they're going to win it. And at one point, I think it was only a 7-point game, but it looked like Clemson had all the momentum. Florida State couldn't do anything when they got the ball, and then there was a big, a fumble by Cade Klubnik that resulted into the game-tying touchdown. And then you get to overtime, and Mike Norvell kind of draws up a couple really good plays in overtime to score first, and that defense steps up. But that was an incredibly fun game to watch, and I love Mike Norvell, and so I was really, really happy to see him get that win.
I want to hear from people. What was the best game of the day? How did you consume? And then turn right around in yesterday, Brian. I'm worried about your team. What about your parade route now for your Cowboys?
Who? The who?
Your team. Cowboys.
Yeah. No, that was
parade
bad.
book thrown away?
No. It's just
still have it?
It's just not as public as it has been. I usually like to sit it out so I can touch it. Now it's in my bag. I don't want to really bring it out today.
Can you win a Super Bowl losing to that bad a team like that?
I think this early in the year, yes. I almost think. Now you're going to be like, oh, Brian, this is just you trying to make this loss sound better, which it is. But I would almost prefer a loss like this happen now.
The good kind of loss.
Yes, the good kind of loss, because I think you can now go to the drawing board. You can learn from it. You can try to adjust. Also, you're down 3 starting offensive linemen in that game yesterday, so I mean there was little to no protection for Dak Prescott. But yeah, it was a bad loss. It was a rough afternoon at the Dacus household, I'll tell you that.
You mentioned Monday Night Football. Again, we have 2 of those tonight. We carry one. Rams at Bengals comes your way right here on 98.5 and Sports 56 WHBQ, starting at 7 o'clock with Rams at Bengals. That's after Rebel Yell Hotline. I know what they're going to be talking about tonight and looking back to last weekend against Bama and next weekend against LSU. At 5:30, we're going to have our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview, and I'm going to give you your option again.
All right.
You take which one of these 2 games you want. You can have your team, and we'll also do our big 4 quarterbacks from these 4 franchises playing tonight. Rams and Bengals, Eagles and Buccaneers, your big 4. If all 4 of your quarterbacks are Tom Brady, Jameis Winston, Doug Williams, and Vinny Testaverde off the Buccaneers, so be it.
Nick Foles has to be on your list, right? I mean, it's almost required to have Nick Foles.
Well, tell me a Bengals Super Bowl winner.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. So I gotta have Nick Foles on my list.
Do you?
I think so.
What about Donovan McNabb?
That's another good one.
What about Randall Cunningham?
Well, that's another good one. There's some good picks.
Norm Snead.
I'm not familiar with old Norm, so I unfortunately don't think I have him. I am.
Roman Gabriel played for 2 of these teams.
I don't know if I have him on there either. But I guess we'll just have to wait. You'll just have to wait till 5:30 to see what my
Roman
what my
Gabriel
list
was
looks
Mr.
like.
70s.
Was he?
Had that look about him, Mr. 70s,
Right.
and single bar.
Really?
Yeah,
I love
what could go
that.
wrong there?
Well, that's a good point.
Other than your nose being put on the other side of your face.
That is a good point. You mentioned, how you viewed these games on Saturday, and it was a great slate of games. How familiar are you with YouTube TV?
Not at all.
Okay, so YouTube TV is
about as familiar as I am with where Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce romance is and Usher songs.
Oh, geez. But so we had so YouTube TV is like YouTube. It's like their TV service. You can watch it's streaming. You can watch all the games on there. And so
an option for it popped up on my TV at the hotel room.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah,
Saturday.
Yeah, it's getting really big now because they're the home of Sunday Ticket now. So a lot of people going over there for Sunday Ticket.
I thought it was one of those channels. I got out of there fast.
Oh yeah.
From a bill.
Yeah. Well, so we got me and my family got we got YouTube TV with Sunday Ticket. And so what YouTube TV does, which I think is really interesting, is they offer up quad boxes on Saturday for college football and on Sunday for the NFL. And so 2:30, I'm really excited for the quad box at 2:30 because you got some great games at 2:30. Obviously Ole Miss, Alabama, Colorado, Oregon, but there were still a ton of other really fun games. UCLA, Utah was also at that time. UTSA, Tennessee was about to get started at that time. So I was really excited for 2:30. I go to the quad box feature, and most Saturdays that I've been on there, they have multiple options of quad box. You can they don't let you choose the 4 games you want, but they have like several pre-made ones with all the games you want. The only quad box that was offered up to me at 2:30 on Saturday was this one. Bottom left corner, you had Colorado, Oregon. Okay, that's exactly what I want. Bottom right corner, you have Ole Miss, Alabama. Another one I want. Top left corner, you have Texas Southern and Grambling. And top right, you have Maryland and Michigan State. No disrespect to those 4 teams on the top.
Just not very interested in them.
Just not very interested in them. And I'm fine if you want to have an option that has those games on them. I would love to watch a Texas Southern Grambling game.
A la carte. It's what
exactly.
we all want.
I want to be able to pick what games I want to watch.
Me watch
exactly.
anything.
If you're going to give me because I think the quad box feature is awesome. I mean, it gives me that opportunity to watch all 4 games at the same time at their full length. But let me choose them. Don't choose them for me. Last week, I wanted to complain about it, but at 2:30 they gave me the option of I can't remember what games they were, but the CBS game, the Fox game, the ABC game, and the ESPN game. So the 4 big time games at 2:30 I had in my quad box, and then on Saturday it was one option with only 2 games I wanted to watch, and I was very very upset with that. So.
Yeah, we want a la carte. Don't force anything on me. If I don't want the National Geographic network, I don't want it even on my selection. Mm-hmm. I don't care about it. For me, I would, except for sports, I just don't care anything about the shows or.
Right.
I could not tell you the last time I watched one of the news morning shows like Today Show or anything like. I mean, I just don't care anything about that. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, me neither. But I mean, it's. So yeah, I want a la carte. I want to be able to kind of pick and choose what I can watch. And so I was pretty disappointed. Found other ways to watch. You've seen how I kind of set up my computer with 4 or 5 games. So I was able to make it work. Had to make sure Florida-Charlotte was on one of my screens Saturday night.
Catch of the year in that game.
Oh, unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
One-handed, cut in half, jackknifed by two defenders.
Wrong shoulder. Wrong hand. So
caught
that
it like
was
he was catching a baseball in a glove.
It was incredible. And Charlotte covers the game, so a cover for Biff Poggi and the 49ers.
Paying his friends off.
Sure is. I mean, hedge funder. He knows how to make money.
Sure he does.
So he knows what he's doing. That's right. So, no, but it was a really fun Saturday. I know we're going to get to a ton of what happened over the weekend. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we're going to break down Memphis versus Missouri in St. Louis on Saturday night. I thought a really fun game. Looked like a fun atmosphere.
Sure
People
did.
I talked to that went to the game. It seemed like a lot of fun. So we'll dive into that at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk about the top 25 in college football, what happened to those teams over the weekend, and how that new top 25 shakes up after a weekend of football. 4 o'clock, David Cobb, as usual, from CBS Sports, will join us to talk some college football. 4:30, we'll get to our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC. Got a lot of SEC to talk about with some interesting games and a lot of these teams kicking off conference play over the weekend, so a lot to get to there. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jonah Dillon, the Memphis Tiger football beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, will join us to talk about the Tigers, their game over the weekend against Missouri, and this weekend's game, a home game against Boise State. At 5:30, we'll get to our Roost Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview. We'll also have to get to our big 4 quarterbacks like Brett mentioned earlier. Any 4 quarterbacks from any 4 of those teams as your top 4 quarterbacks.
I've already gotten some Boomer Esiason love.
Oh, really?
From our friend John Varlas.
That's a good one. Boomer. And then at 5.
And he went full birth certificate name. I got to check that.
I love that. That's great.
Norman Julius Esiason.
I love it.
Stage name extraordinaire, isn't it? And he
Extra
goes
points.
with Boomer.
Extra points from John Varlas. That's great.
Sure is.
That's great. And then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Oh, Boomer nailed it with a legal birth certificate name and nickname.
Wow.
Didn't he?
I love that. I mean, that's great.
And was that good. He is Bryant Dacus. I am Brett. We are Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a big part of it at 901-360-8255. We are both in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. World's biggest spa sale right now. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in stock spas and swim spas, free upgrades on all in-stock spas, 24 months, same as cash. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Go in and tell Billy we said hello and that we appreciate him very much. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2023 models, and the 2024 is really starting to arrive, and always special leasing options. Call them at 901-334-9673. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the Tigers went up to St. Louis for a neutral site game against Missouri that wasn't so neutral site. We talked about it a little bit on Friday. Both end zones and midfield were painted in the Missouri colors, just like it'd be a Missouri home game. It sounded, from what I heard, about 80-20 Missouri to Memphis fans, a ton of Missouri fans there. And I thought it was a fun game. You know, Brett, I told you before the show, and I'll be completely honest about it, I thought that game could have gone 3 ways. It could have gone the exact way that it finished, with Memphis losing very closely and very competitively. It could have gone with
plenty to grow from.
Exactly. It could have ended with a Memphis win, or it could have ended with a Missouri big-time blowout win. I mean, it just kind of, there were parts of that game where it just looked like Missouri was going to run away with that ball game. And credit, I don't want this to sound like I'm putting the Tigers down, because I think you have to give them a lot of credit for fighting back and staying in that game.
I think Seth Hennigan's best game as a Tiger defeat.
I think so. And so, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have 2 interceptions. One of those was late, just kind of trying to force it. But, they really couldn't get the run game going. Kind of had to rely on that pass game. Rock Taylor finished with 143 yards.
His breakout, 9 catches?
7 receptions on 10 targets. Had a couple of drops early in the game, but kind of got comfortable late in the afternoon. And I thought really came up big multiple
Hennigan
times.
Looked like he belonged.
He did. And Blake Watson, I talk about the run game not really getting going, but they really know how to use Blake Watson. If the run game ain't going, you can run him out of the backfield as a receiver, and he's a really good pass-catching back. But on the other side, Missouri, Brady Cook, we assumed he would play. He ended up playing and looked really, really good, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Luther Burden, I mean, I don't know what you want to say about it. He's going to be playing on Sundays, and I hope he's playing for the Star, because he is an incredibly talented receiver, and he showed it on Saturday.
25, right? He can't be in the next year's draft, next spring? Just his second year at Mizzou, right?
This is his second, so next year will be his 3rd year. So
he's got to play fall of 24 college. He'll be one of the first 5 names called.
Absolutely. He's incredibly talented.
He was all that. We want to hear from people that went. Memphis Tiger fans that went to St. Louis your whole weekend. Where'd you stay? Downtown, Clayton, South, in Festus. Where'd you stay? Where'd you eat? Where'd you enjoy St. Louis? My top story, the college football season is wide open. For September 25th, I think today there are legit 16 to 18 teams that can make the college football playoff of this year. In the final year, 4 teams. I think 12 to 15 of those could win it all. How good is Georgia? We don't really know, but they look great at times Saturday against UAB. Of course, they're loaded with players, but 0 real tests so far. FSU would be my number 1 team if I had my college football rankings right now. They beat LSU at a neutral that wasn't so neutral, and they win at Clemson that was at Clemson. My number 2 would be Texas. 3 would be Michigan. And my number 4 right now would be Washington. Right now, today, my Heisman vote would be for Michael Penix.
Oh, I love it. You're talking my language, Brett.
And his deep ball pass,
it's beautiful,
is as pretty as
it really is.
It's very Michael Vick, just flick, and it's 60 yards. And then when he has to have some touch on it, which I'm not surprised about, he was that good at Indiana and got hurt that year and couldn't play in the bowl game, COVID year against Ole Miss down in Tampa, and he was a Tampa youngster, and that year we couldn't have fans there anyway. But Michael Penix is that good. I wonder a little bit about the Washington defense. But unlike USC, I do think they care about defense. I don't think USC cares about defense.
Not top story of the day.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, Brett, because Saturday night, after all of the football, I was so excited and I couldn't sleep. So I just started kind of writing down stuff. So I have my teams that have shown they can win the championship after 4 weeks. Now, keyword,
we didn't play
shown.
This
No. I'm glad you brought it up because it gives me an opportunity to say it.
I was doing the same thing Saturday night, but I was hallucinating.
Right. So these are teams that have shown. So there might be some teams not on this list that you're going, that team could win the national championship. They have to show me first. Georgia.
I mean, the Coca-Cola intake had hit me Saturday night at about 10:45.
I believe it. My 10 teams that have shown they can win the championship: Georgia, Texas, Florida State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Oregon, Utah, but only if Cam Rising comes back, Washington, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma barely makes it on that list, but that offense is electric. That defense is playing really good. I think they haven't played much competition yet, but when they get into that Big 12, I think they're going to show they're for real. And yes, I do have Ohio State and Notre Dame on my list because Notre Dame
right there
could have easily won that game on Saturday.
What hurts Notre Dame is you get down
to
a tiebreaker, and they don't have a conference championship game to play.
That's the beautiful thing about this list because it's not who I think could make it, it's who have shown they could win the national championship. So now I have even more of a gripe if they don't make the college football playoffs of, hey, this is the reason you need to go join a conference because you showed all season you could win the national championship, but just because you're not in a conference, you didn't make it.
All the kick times for not this Saturday, but next Saturday, revealed today, and Saturday, October 7th. And it's the best time. It's the time I went the year I got to go to the game. Red River's going to kick at 11 o'clock that morning.
Oh, man. It's going to be an early morning for some people.
The last one in the Big 12.
Maybe a late night.
That will be some scene. My not top story, Ole Miss, Memphis, and Arkansas, right there. Had it right there, especially Arkansas. They were there to pull the road shocker. Remember, early in the game, got down on the goal line and had a false start, had to settle for a field goal, but none could pull it off. And I don't mean this harsh at all to any of the three groups. I don't. A real affinity, a real love, really, for all three. Here's the two reasons why they none of the three pulled it off. On the road, that's a gigantic factor. And those three opponents, Mizzou against the Memphis Tigers, Bama against Ole Miss, and LSU against Arkansas, they have better players.
They do.
They just have more.
Yeah.
Not saying the upset can't happen. The upset was close to happening Saturday. Those teams just have more, and it's why all those preseason W's, L's, kind of that team that's got that all-time stature. That's kind of who you have to go with. Now I know on Friday afternoon I had Memphis winning straight up, I had Ole Miss winning straight up, I had Arkansas getting blown out.
Yeah.
So things can, of course, change in season, in game, and better players usually wins out. Not always, but three had their heralded opponents on alert, but it wasn't to be, and it was bitter losses.
Yeah, it was. We did get a text message that I want to point out because of how it ends. His texter said, I enjoyed St. Louis. Mizzou fans were the rudest I've ever been around, foul-mouthed as can be.
Wait till you see Boise.
And, well, yes, but I'm glad he said that because my buddy was at the game on Saturday in St. Louis, and he texted me after it and said he said he was walking out and Missouri fans were chanting blowout. Hey, Mizzou, you won by 7.
Can they add?
Hey, Mizzou, have fun in the SEC.
I mean,
have fun against Vandy next week.
I know they've got a noted journalism school there.
They do, yeah.
Noted liberal arts. Do they have a business school know how to add?
Math? Math, anybody? I don't know. But I thought that was hilarious. He texted me, he goes, I just walked by some Missouri fans that were chanting blowout. I asked them if they could read the scoreboard, and they said, y'all can't compete in the SEC. Got it.
What a
response.
For 3 hours.
That's a great response. So, yeah, I agree with this text message. Thank you for the text. You're spot on.
Wait till you meet the Boise fans.
I can't wait.
The most despicable bunch ever, a bunch of goobs.
Well, I was going to say we'll welcome them with open arms, but I don't think I can say that if they're as bad as you say
you can't be nice to them.
Yikes. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Memphis versus Missouri. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open, the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Applin and Kirby Whitten and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo Lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all of the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or two. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we talked a little bit about the Tigers versus Missouri over the weekend. We've already talked about the fandom from the Missouri fans in St. Louis. Maybe not the best. But as far as this game goes, 34-27, the final score. I thought Tigers came out, looked, especially very start of the game, looked very competitive. Kind of second, third quarter, struggled a little bit. That's really where Missouri...
What was with the sheen of the turf? Yeah, or was that my TV? Did the turf feel really bright, that glow of it?
I think it might have been the lights.
Okay.
Because I kind of noticed the lights were very bright, especially like you could see those black Missouri helmets. You could see all the lights off the back of the helmet.
And had the numbers for the XFL team barely blotted out.
And all the lines, too, yeah.
So when was the Battlehawks' last game there?
Oh, man. I mean, it was middle
25th?
Summer? May, probably?
June 1st?
Yeah, and I guess it's been sitting there the whole time.
Can't get the field ready for the college game in September a little better than that?
Here we go. Let's see. Schedule for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Also, shout out to A.J. McCarron, who was signed by the Bengals over the weekend.
Yeah.
10th game. Oh, is that a home game or an away game? Their last game, I don't know if it was home or away.
Because they didn't make the playoffs.
Was on April 22nd.
That really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we wrapped the XFL up quick, didn't we?
Sure did.
I hardly knew.
Yeah, well, I mean,
didn't watch the play.
you're so excited about the USFL starting, Brett, that you know.
So 5 months, we couldn't get the field really kind of.
No, don't seem like
okay.
it. Yeah,
okay,
this
very
game,
good.
April 22nd at 11 a.m., the Dome at America Center. So, yep, that was the last game inside that stadium. But, yeah, the turf didn't look great. But hey, you know,
I got to the game I got to where I could watch at halftime. Of course, I was trying to watch everything,
Sure,
including the blockbuster Notre Dame and Ohio State was just instant classic. But so many other good games on. I was trying to watch Arkansas and LSU and keep up with it all. And that's when the second I got in front of it is when the Tigers fell down the biggest margin of the night. And I thought, oh no, kind of here it comes. Well, no, here came really gutty effort to get it back to 10. No, to 7. Got it back to 7, and then Mizzou got up 10. The Tigers scratched back and had their shots. They really did. They showed they belonged.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. I talk about, you know.
What's that get you, though?
It's a good point. But, you know, you talk about the fight there at the end. I mean, they could have easily laid down, and this could have been a 14-point loss, 21-point loss. So I thought the fight was good. But, you know, early I was watching that game. I can't remember if it was Missouri's first drive or second drive where Brady Cook just drops back. Luther Burden runs a post route, completely leaves. I think DJ Bell was the DB on that side.
He didn't have him within 30 yards.
No,
right?
And I mean Luther Burden. I mean, we're not talking about the number one guy in the state. We're talking about the number one receiver in an entire class. I mean, he's that good. And so, you know, early I was like, ugh. Man, it really seems like Brady Cook, all he's going to have to do is drop back. Their offensive line's giving him enough time and just kind of throw it back there. But then they tried to get the run game involved. Memphis did a really good job, I thought, defending the run game. I thought at sometimes Brady Cook was holding the ball a little too long, and kind of Memphis's defensive line kind of got after him a little bit. But, you know, I was proud of the fight for the Tigers. I was happy to see that because I didn't know if you were gonna see that, especially kind of that environment. I thought there was a lot. And I know there's some people that are very upset after that loss for some reason, and it's weird. I saw on Twitter, and I forgot who tweeted this that I saw on Twitter, but someone said, if you had told me in 2013 when Memphis got beat 45-3 by Arkansas State and Hugh Freeze that in 2023 Memphis would—
I think it was 47, but whatever.
40, whatever. I'm sure it did say 47. I'm just kind of off the head. But if you would have told me in 2023 they'd lose by 7 to a team that would be in the top 25 the next week, and fans would be wanting to fire the head coach after the game, I would say you're crazy, and that's just kind of where we're at right now.
There's a lot of that. I certainly think that this medium, maybe not us in particular, but sometimes maybe us, contributes to that.
Yeah.
I sure have tried not to. I was going to save this for later. I was not saving it for big number, but I think it suffices for Ryan Silverfield. But before I get too far in that, I want to say this. Boise's got to be won.
Got to be.
The Boise State game, it has to be won. First of all, they're playing the myth of Boise. They're playing the past resume of Boise. Boise's not that good. It still's got kind of the splashy, cool.
Sure. I mean, I think it always will, yeah.
This game's got to be won Saturday. Of these two, going to St. Louis to play Mizzou and playing Boise at home, that was the preseason math, and that's the week of the game math.
Yeah.
But on the coaching front, I encountered plenty Saturday night. First tweet I got, and I DM'd the person. I'm not responding to anybody over the whole Twitter.
Sure.
The
Twitter sphere.
Twixville. I'm not doing it. At the Xville. And I responded back to the person. He basically, you big homer, you picked Ole Miss on Friday. Well, I did.
Yeah.
And I thought Ole Miss would win.
I think a lot of people thought Ole Miss would win.
They didn't. Another noted Ole Miss homer through and through, Reese Davis, who only went undergrad at Bama, grew up in the state of Alabama, and is Bama as you can get on game day. He picked Ole Miss, and he said if Ole Miss was favored 6 points, he would pick Ole Miss. So that's the company I was keeping Saturday in picking that upset. But also saw and got a lot of this from Ole Miss fans disgruntled in defeat. That's fandom. They have a right to be.
Absolutely.
They're paying hard-earned money. Understood. But But this whole saw of and getting it from Razorback fans as well about Sam Pittman and Lane Kiffin, and seeing it about Ryan Silverfield. A lot of it, as Lane Kiffin said last night, welcome to coaching.
Sure.
It goes with the territory. It goes with the big paycheck, and the paycheck they all three get is market driven. It's the market forces, and if you're not paying that, you're not getting a coach these days. You've got to pay that. Look, we know everything's gone up in college sports, and that has gone up for all three. But today I wanted to find out just exactly where Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman stood. So through 40 games at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is 26-14.
Wow.
The previous 40-game stretch before him, what preceded him at Ole Miss, was 17-23.
Wow.
And that even reaches into Hugh Freeze's last year of 2016. And most of that is Matt.
Sure.
But it gets into Hugh Freeze in 2016 when he was double loaded with players.
Yeah.
All those wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Van Jefferson was the fifth receiver. Okay? I mean, just receivers everywhere, running backs aplenty. Chad Kelly did get hurt, but had Shea Patterson, had Jordan Tiamu, had plenty of players. Sam Pittman threw 40 games. He is 21-19.
Wow.
You want to take a stab at what preceded him in 40 games?
I don't know. I can't even imagine.
When Razorback fans want to get that mad at Sam Pittman, and Arkansas should be 4-0.
Sure.
They really should be. 10-30.
Wow.
10-30.
Wow. That's remarkable, honestly.
And, oh, by the way, they both, Arkansas for game 41 was 11-30. So this week, even with a loss, if he's 21-20 after a game at A&M, the previous 41's 11-30. Lane Kiffin, even with a loss Saturday to LSU, make him 26-15. It was 17-24.
Wow.
The previous 41. You just mentioned about that person, if they would have imagined in 2013 after losing to Arkansas State. Try as best you can out there to remember where we came from.
Yes.
And remember, when I go back to my not top story of the day, it was right there for all three Saturday.
It really was.
Those places have better players.
Well, and it's really
there's a reason why all three were favored.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But it's almost like a double-edged sword because it's good to be at a spot if you're Memphis where you're not satisfied with a 6-6 season. But it's also like, hey, just 5-6 years ago, we wanted 3 wins. I mean, we'd be happy with 4 or 5 wins. And so it's like a double-edged sword of like, we're kind of at that spot where you're really starting to get that program rolling. It's been rolling. You want it to continue to roll, and you don't want to get back to that spot.
Brian, may I respectfully disagree? I don't know if it's as much the apprehension around Tiger fans about keeping it rolling. Maybe the same thing with Ole Miss fans is this. Boy, I don't want to go backwards.
Well, I think it's that too. I think it's a little bit of both.
Let's don't go backwards.
Yeah, and I think it's that apprehension of like we made it
at
this
Mizzou,
far.
at
That's
Alabama,
tough.
and
That's
at
tough.
LSU is not going backwards.
No, that's really tough.
And I'm also hearing this from some Ole Miss fans. Who's he really beat? Give me the Lane Kiffin Gold Star win. Well, I guarantee you weren't saying that leaving that Tampa Bowl game that day.
No.
Okay, now you can say it was just Indiana.
Sure.
You weren't saying that day. You weren't saying it in 20 and 21 leaving either Egg Bowl. You weren't saying it in 21 on Eli Manning Day beating LSU. I know it was Ed Orgeron's last year, and he had taken the golden parachute. Still beat LSU. That has currency at Ole Miss.
Absolutely.
If that's not enough for you, I think you're really difficult to please.
I think so.
You're very, very difficult to please. You weren't saying that leaving Neyland Stadium when he was dodging golf balls.
No, you weren't. You're ecstatic.
And Tiger fans weren't saying it last year after a bowl win. Okay, maybe not the desired bowl to be in, but won the game. There was a time Tiger fans just wanted to get to a bowl game.
Absolutely.
Razorback fans, weren't any of you saying that leaving beating James Franklin and Penn State in the Tampa Bowl?
No. Not at all. Not at all.
Or beating Texas.
Yeah.
So just remember what some of this fight's about. And also remember a lot of this when I talk about the championship flight and the first flight that some teams are in and others are in the other one. The ones in the championship flight, they have better players. They have an incredible history. That doesn't mean you can't pull the upset. But I saw fandom really irritated Saturday night. Yeah. And it reminded me of the new Stone song out right now. Why are you so angry?
Good song.
Great song.
Really good
and
song.
Even better video.
It's good video, too. It's really good video. I do, before we get to a break, I want to point out these two things before we get to break about the Tigers-Missouri game. Because I noticed this during the game, and it got even better towards the end of the game. On third downs, Missouri 0 for 8 on third down. Yeah. I had noticed it earlier when they were 0 for 6. The only problem is they only had 8 opportunities at a third down. So I mean they were moving down the field, but 0 for 8 is really impressive. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Tanner Gillis, the third string kicker, backup punter for the Tigers, who had to kick
emergency duty.
Because the first string and second string kicker were both out. I'm very eager when we talk to Jonah Dillon later to ask him about that whole situation. Why were both of them out? Did they learn anything after the game? But Tanner Gillis comes in, 2 field goals, 3 extra points, was perfect on the day. So I thought a really great job by him.
I'm with you, and I know this on Monday night, you can enjoy the commissary, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Perfect for a big group, perfect for game watching, and perfect for any season. Tailgating, basketball, college football, high school football on Fridays. Memphis-style barbecue done the Memphis way, the authentic, slow-cooked way. If you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary right now to 33733. Start that feast with all the great appetizers. You can make a meal out of the appetizer, but you got to pace yourself, like the smoked chicken wings, the tamales, the cheese plate, the barbecue nachos invented at the Germantown commissary by Walker Taylor and his team way back in the beginning in the early 80s. Dig into the ribs, the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich. All the sides, slaw, beans, deviled eggs, bread, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. That's perfect for tailgating this Saturday along Tiger Lane in Oxford. If you want to go to Dallas to the Razorback game, you want to go to the Tennessee game, you want to go to the Mississippi State game, you want to go to any game, 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack from the commissary. And the desserts like the lemon ice box pie, the banana pudding, the strawberry cakes. You can order the whole pies and the whole cakes. Take them to the tailgate with you as well. 901-754-5540. Go online at commissarybbq.com. In Collierville and Germantown, those party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating, Brunswick stew season coming up, and I'll be telling you about the holiday bird coming soon at the commissary. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the top 25, what those top 25 teams did over the weekend, and how the new top 25 looks after the weekend. That's next on Sportstime.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit. Dealer.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Randy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 do-it signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with a 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 do-it signing. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 do-it signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase. All 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Don't miss any of the primetime action this season with Kevin Harlan and Hall of Famer quarterback Kurt Warner on site calling the game, and I'll be on hand from the studio for the pregame and to wrap up the weekend's action. Join us on air and on the free live stream, sponsored by AutoZone, for Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
O'Reilly. Do you need new wiper blades but aren't sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you the best options for your specific vehicle and even install your new wipers for free. And right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades, plus get 2 times O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time with Bryant and Brett, and it was a fun weekend of college football, especially for the top 25 teams. No upsets, but a lot of really, really fun games. You talked earlier, I think we've both mentioned the Notre Dame and Ohio State game, which was a lot of fun on Saturday night. I think that was probably the best top 25 versus top 25 game of the day.
That was a 1970 game.
That was incredible.
And the same kind of game broke out in Utah and UCLA.
It sure did, and that was a fun game too. But man, just that environment at Notre Dame that night, and for Ohio State to just take it down the field that last second, only 10 men on defense.
2 plays in a row.
2 plays in a row. Incredible. And then to punch it in was that was an awesome game.
And the Ohio State fans had to just float out of there.
Oh, yeah.
To go in there and get that win. You don't know when they'll be back in that setting again, and for it to continue. 1936, the last time anybody saw Notre Dame defeat Ohio State. But but Saturday night, Notre Dame was right there in that game. Sam Hartman was doing anything he wanted to do for a lot of that game. It was a really good plan, though, for Ohio State to kind of stay patient, stay in the game, and pull it out at the end. Oregon, the blasting they put on Colorado, and Dan Lanning, the news he's made. I love Dan Lanning when I first met him in the Alabama shop. Loved him here on staff. Was he here with the Arizona State
Kenny
head coach?
Dillingham? Yeah, they were here at the same time.
Whew, what a staff.
Oh, yeah.
Man. But I thought everything he did and said is fair game.
I think so as well, yeah.
Look, Deion Sanders can give it, I think Deion Sanders can take it. I liked his response post-game. You better get me this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You better get me this year. But Saturday, it was all Oregon, and without Travis Hunter.
Yep.
I think that's got to be noted. If most know, but certainly I don't think he makes that much of a difference. He's going to miss this week as well. He's out for the USC game on Saturday. They could get the same pounding Saturday against SC.
Yeah, I feel a little better this weekend against USC because I'm just not sold at all on that USC defense. So, we really might have like what the Miami Dolphins did on Sunday against the Broncos. We might have that from both teams where both teams score 70 points and it comes down to the wire because I'm just not sold on either of these defenses. And for Colorado, I think we knew going into the season, they've got a ton of weapons. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, all these guys they have are really good. But that offensive and defensive line need a ton of work, and that's something you can kind of hide in these non-conference games. But when you get to conference play, when you get to these long days against top 25 teams, that's going to become a glaring issue. And I think it was a glaring issue Saturday. I think it's going to continue to be a big issue throughout the Pac-12 play.
But still a fun story to this early college football season. A great game was the Tupac game. The Pac-2 game.
Oh, yeah. That was a really fun
Washington
game.
State and Oregon State, 38-35 Washington State. Fun game. The last Texas-Baylor game for a while was a blowout for Texas. And in my top story, I had Texas in my top 4. They might be the best team I've seen this year.
They might. They really might. And then we also had Iowa looking like Iowa again, which was fun against Penn State. Even though not fun for me because I had the over in that game. But that was fun seeing the whiteout.
Drake Mays for keeps. So I thought it was a really fun day in college football. And, we talked about it, all of the top 25 matchups. I think a lot of them lived up to the hype. I know a lot of people were talking about Colorado and kind of how they got blown out. But I think there were a ton of fun games on Saturday.
We have 4 top 25 matchups starting Friday at Utah and Oregon State.
Yeah, so it's going to be another great weekend. But that'll do it for our first hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk more college football with David Cobb.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code STRONG for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code STRONG for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code STRONG.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGe, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P561964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Joining Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
Well, David Cobb joins us now from CBS Sports to talk everything that happened over the weekend in college football. David, thanks so much for joining us. And me and Brett talked all week last week. I'm sure we talked about it with you to start the week last week about how fun this weekend was going to be with all of the top 25 matchups, all the intriguing games happening on Saturday. What was your favorite game of the weekend?
So the one I had to focus on the most, which I'm glad this isn't being the case, was the Notre Dame-Ohio State
that's
game.
A good one.
Yeah, I was running the live blog at CBS Sports on that one. And it turned out to be a phenomenal game, a throwback game, no turnovers. There were only 8 combined penalties.
Wow.
And it came down to literally the last play and the last yard. And then we got Ryan Day coming after Lou Holtz on the field.
What a soundbite. That was great.
I mean, come on. So that one, it wasn't
Who knew
like,
Lou Holtz would provide the motivation?
Poor Lou.
Incredible. And I looked it up. We were ballpark guessing at lunch today, me and Brett, what age is Lou Holtz? Now he's 86.
I said 84. Wow.
Yeah.
Louis
So we got-
Leopold Holtz, full name.
but clearly still holds a lot of sway over Ryan Day. And we can get into it a little more. I don't know that game proved exactly what Ryan Day thinks it proved, but that it was a great game.
What did it prove?
Well, to me, I came away as impressed with Notre Dame in defeat, and maybe even
Brian
more.
said that earlier, and I concur.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ohio State and Ryan Day is sitting there after the game. He's saying, Lou Holtz said we weren't tough. He said we weren't physical. Well, we just showed how tough we are. We just showed how physical we are. Well, here's the reality. That was their third time in that game needing to get 1 yard. In the first half, they had a third and goal at the 1. They failed on 2 consecutive plays and turned the football over on down. And then in the fourth quarter, they had a very similar situation at the 11-yard line, 3rd and 1 at the 11. They failed on consecutive plays and turned the football over on down. So finally, with the game on the line, they got 1 yard barely, and it was with Notre Dame having only 10 defenders on the field. So he wants to act like, oh, we showed how tough we are, we showed how physical we are. Okay, you only got the 1 yard you needed, not an inch more, and it was only because your opponent had 10 players on the field. And so I didn't come away from that Ohio State-Notre Dame game with any more conviction over what's going to happen for Ohio State against Michigan later this season, because I still think Michigan is the more physical team and will whip Ohio State in the trenches.
How many teams do you think right now could make the college football playoffs? 4 teams get in. How many different teams out there writ large over college football can make that foursome?
Oh, I mean, I think I'd go as high as 15 still.
Yeah, we're there. I said 16 to 18. How many do you think can win it of that 15?
Probably 6 or 7, which is still more than I would have said in years past.
Yeah, that's a little less than what I'm thinking. And you mentioned the style of game Saturday. It only drew the largest TV audience for NBC in 30 years. It's the second largest Notre Dame game they ever had. The only one better was Notre Dame FSU later in the year in 92 in South Bend. So people watched, people consumed, people liked it. And a lot of the modern era fan, they don't like a defensive game. But Saturday, we had 20-6 Oklahoma over Cincinnati. We had 14-7 Utah over UCLA. Alabama, Ole Miss was a defensive game, 24-10. I don't care how they play out. If it's 55-54 or 14-13, I don't mind either one, David.
Georgia and Michigan are turning back the clock, and teams are starting to emulate that a little bit.
And the clock is moving on.
It sure is.
And it doesn't mean, just because a game isn't high scoring, doesn't mean it was poorly played. Because you think about that Notre Dame-Ohio State game, like I mentioned, not a single turnover. I actually thought both quarterbacks were pretty good. Kyle McCord in particular on the final drive for Ohio State. But throughout that game, you saw time and time again how Sam Hartman has elevated Notre Dame. And so, no, he didn't throw for 360 yards and put up a Bryce Young or a Joe Burrow stat line, but those guys won championships in 19 and 20, Mac Jones at Alabama in 20, doing it a certain way. But Georgia's shown the last couple of years you don't have to do it that way. Michigan's returned to national prominence and is in the national title hunt, doing it an old school way. And maybe some other teams around the country are starting to emulate that. And like you said about the clock, that's such a huge element in all this, because teams are getting fewer plays, especially in the fourth quarter of football games this season.
David, I was at a game Saturday on CBS that the run time from the game, from kickoff at 2:39, why we can't start it on time, I do not know. From 2:39 into game, 3 hours and 3 minutes.
Woo. That's incredible.
I got confused in the fourth quarter. I'm kind of lollygagging around. I go, the game's almost over. I
got to get to work.
No kidding. Yeah, it's accelerated things. I wish we could diminish the number of commercials ever so slightly still. But I'm okay with it. Like, I haven't been bothered by any of the rule changes. I think it's nice that games actually get done in a somewhat timely fashion now. So I'm okay with it. I think, we're going to see fewer crazy fourth quarter comebacks with teams racing three touchdown deficits because the clock's going to run more this year. That's just part of it. But I think by and large, I think this has been okay for college football.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, David, we started our day on Saturday with a great ACC matchup, Florida State and Clemson. I remember you at the beginning of the season, before and after Florida State beat LSU, talking about this game, and this one being a big one for Florida State. At times, it looked like Clemson was going to run away with that game. It looked like Florida State got into these, drives, consecutive drives where they just couldn't move the ball at all. But ultimately, they come back, they win in overtime. How big of a win was that for Florida State with kind of the schedule they have left ahead of them?
Absolutely massive. I was wrong because I thought this is where the Florida State journey would end. I thought this might be loss number 2 for Florida State, because I thought they might lose against LSU. And here they are, still standing, still unbeaten with their 2 toughest games in the rearview mirror. I mean, at this point, Florida State looks as close, as much like a lock for the playoff as any team in the country.
Wow.
Because of what they've accomplished to this point. I mean, the meat of their schedule is behind them now, and they'll have to play somebody in the ACC championship game. But chances are that won't be Clemson, because Clemson's 0-2 in the ACC after losing to Duke. And you can argue that Clemson was the better team on Saturday, but that's not what the final score shows, and that's what matters. So even though
Clemson's behind Duke and Florida State,
it's amazing. I mean, I think in both those games, Clemson played well enough to win, but just made untimely mistakes. In the Duke game, it was the turnovers, and then in the Florida State game, they end up in a situation with a walk-on graduate kicker who was summoned from doing online classes at the beach to come and be their kicker in the biggest regular season game of the season. He did pretty well until the game was on the line, and then you can't blame the kid for missing that kick.
Yeah.
You feel bad for him, but it's another situation where you look at Dabo, you look at Clemson, you look at the way he runs his program, and if he'd been willing to go out into the portal and get a kicker, he wouldn't have had to frantically call a grad student off the couch in Charleston to come and save his season, right? But Dabo does things the Dabo way, and that's come back to bite him a little bit here in this game. So I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with Florida State. In fact, I think this is 2 weeks in a row where they haven't really played all that well.
Yeah.
But they come through it undefeated, and I don't know that there's really enough to in the ACC to deter them from a playoff path at this point.
David, why do you think Dabo Swinney, with 2 national championships and in the mix a couple other times, why do you think he has not worn so well with the public? Why is he almost in the popularity rating? I know he doesn't care, but why is he over in the popularity rating with Jimbo Fisher?
I think for some people it starts with him being very vocal and outward about his faith. That doesn't bother me. I mean, he can get a little cheesy with it sometimes, right? But I understand where he's coming from. I resonate to a certain degree, with where he's coming from on that stuff.
Too.
But he can get a little bit over the top with it, right? He can get a little bit cheesy with it.
I think he wanted to be the Bobby Bowden of this generation,
right? And sometimes that doesn't play very well when it gets reduced to sound bites on social media.
I was one of the few who'd take a shot at St. Bobby. I would call him St. Bobby, and I would jokingly say he was Jerry Tarkanian with a Southern accent.
That's funny.
Right, and I still remember Bobby Bowden coming to speak at my church when I was a little kid.
And it's incredible testimony.
Yeah, it's a cool story, and then Dabo also sort of being a little bit preachy about what are college athletics supposed to be, and he doesn't want to do name, image, and likeness. And I think the one that kind of encapsulates who he is and what we're talking about here is when he said, "We're built on God's name, image, and likeness."
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah,
you see what I mean? It's just a little bit cheesy, right? Even if you share the same faith as Dabo, which I do, you can kind of look at that, and unless you're a Clemson fan who's just gobbling up everything, you're kind of like, all right, man, let's take a step back here. But it's just a reluctance to embrace all the changes of the modern game. And
remember, he said one time, when we start paying the players, I'm out of here. Well, we're paying them, and he didn't leave.
It turns out there's not a whole lot of other professions that pay as well as being a Power 5 football player.
Yeah.
So he changed his mind once he looked into some other jobs, I suppose.
Talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports. And, David, I know we want to get to a ton of these other top 25 and SEC games, but I do want to ask you about Memphis and Missouri.
And some basketball.
And we do got to get some basketball.
Today.
Yeah, we're very close to basketball. I'm very excited, David. But I do want to ask you about Memphis versus Missouri in St. Louis. Memphis stays competitive, only losing by 7. Missouri makes their debut in the top 25 this week. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, it confirmed to me that I believe Memphis still has an opportunity to compete for the AAC title this year.
They've got something.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe if all you watched was the Navy game, you're like, really? But go and look. Go and look at UTSA right now. Go and look at Tulane right now. I mean, neither of those teams, both predicted to be among the best in the AAC, have gotten off to great starts. And here we have Memphis with a very legitimate chance to defeat Missouri in a neutral/road game environment. And, they didn't get it done in the end. That's not necessarily a game that you look at before the season and expect Memphis to win, though, because it is a game against an SEC opponent. And that's an SEC opponent that just beat the reigning Big 12 champions, by the way. I mean, it took a 61-yard field goal, but, hey, they beat Kansas State. They did. So, I mean, both teams, it's like Missouri and Memphis, even after that game, there's still so much to be decided with these schools because this Missouri team, they're in the top 25 now. Yeah, they beat Kansas State, but they also got everything they wanted from Middle Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. And then on the flip side, you look at Memphis and you think, all right, they were right there with Missouri, but they almost gift wrapped a game to Navy the week before, and we're fortunate to come out with a win. So a lot still to be determined with either of these schools before I can confidently, sit here and tell you who they are at the end of the season. But when I look around the AAC at large and I look at the results I've seen from Memphis, I still see a team that I think can compete in that league because of the fact that the Bell Cows are gone now with Cincinnati and UCF onto the Big 12, and the teams we thought might dominate the league have shown their flaws.
David, we talked about today at lunch, and I used that after 40 games marker for Sam Pittman and Lane Kiffin earlier. A lot of grousing from Razorback fans and Ole Miss fans and Memphis Tiger fans, and I just gently and nicely try to persuade people to remember from what they inherited, what Lane got from Matt Luke and what Sam Pittman got from Chad Morris. And now I know Ryan Silverfield's situation much different. And I think the biggest thing, and Brian and I talked about it, the fear of those that all three of those fan bases, nobody wants to go backwards.
Yeah, that's it. And Pittman did so well early. I mean, I know the COVID year wasn't the best in terms of win-loss.
Best 3-7 ever.
Huh. Yeah, exactly. It was like an incredible improvement in terms of competitiveness from where they had begun. And then they cycled up and won 9 games in his second year. So now all of a sudden Sam Pittman has established the threshold, if you will, at 9 wins. And so you're right. When you regress and you only win 7 or you're fighting for bowl eligibility, as they will be doing this year, it feels like all is lost. But I mean, the reality is, even if the bottom kind of falls out under Sam Pittman this year, they're still very much on the Brett Bielema trajectory of that program, and he certainly deserves another year to get it back up. So I don't think that Arkansas is a bad football team this year. I just think they have a few specific weaknesses. In particular, I mean, the receiving core isn't great. And
25 penalties the last 2 weeks.
Well, that doesn't help you either. But they just went toe-to-toe with an LSU team that a lot of people thought might win the national championship. So that to me is a more accurate
at Tiger
reflection.
Stadium.
No kidding, yeah. And they should have won that BYU game. I mean, they had BYU.
They should be 4-0.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely could be. And so I get the frustration, but there is a lot of football left to be played.
But relax, Memphis Tiger fans, relax, Ole Miss fans, relax for the Razorback fans. Did you ever think, I know you thought Ole Miss would win going into the game, but as the game unfolded, halftime 7-6, missed a chip shot before halftime, just a pulled golf shot, it looked like, from Caden Davis. Did you think Ole Miss was going to win in game Saturday when you were watching it?
Yeah, no, I mean, there were times where I still thought they would put their foot on the gas.
Me too.
Get going a little more.
I was even holding out for overtime, 17, to get it to 17-17. Got to digging up, Ole Miss all time in overtimes.
Absolutely. I mean, even going into the fourth quarter, I still felt like Ole Miss had a chance. I mean, once Alabama got ahead by 2 scores, it was fairly apparent that there wasn't enough gas in the tank offensively. Well, I just feel like Ole Miss's offensive line and the inability to effectively, consistently run the football has been a little bit of a surprise. And that was supposed to be kind of their bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't help that Zachary Franklin and Caden Prieskorn and Trey Harris have been banged up and either barely played or played and been ineffective due to injury. And
Triggs been ineffective. Didn't he play a play Saturday?
Another one, right. So I don't want to blame it all on injuries. Everybody deals with injuries, right? But in Ole Miss's case in particular, when your running game hasn't been what you thought it would be, okay, and now you have some of your best passing weapons banged up, I think that explains a little bit of it here. I mean, the reality is, disappointing outcome, but we talked about it. Ole Miss going into last week had 2 victories all time on the road against Alabama. It's just an incredibly difficult place to go and win. And to its credit, Alabama looked more like a competent football team against Ole Miss, much more so than it did against South Florida. So, and even I think defensively, it looked better against Ole Miss than it did against Texas. So, we all danced on Nick Saban's grave a little prematurely last week, and they're going to have a run at it this year. And I still don't believe that Alabama wins the West, but they're at least going to rally and give it a shot. And I think that's kind of what the takeaway is from the Alabama-Ole Miss game.
David, I watched a ton of that Iowa-Penn State game Saturday night, the whiteout for Penn State, and I'm now curious, did we get sucked into like a Scooby-Doo scenario where this Iowa offense looks like juggernauts and then the mask gets pulled off and it's still Brian Ferentz's same old offense, or is Penn State just that good?
Amazing. What did Iowa finish with, like 4 first downs in that game?
If that. I mean, it was pathetic. And for a guy that got sucked in and took the over in that game, I was not very happy with Brian Ferentz after the game.
I think it only missed by a point or two.
It did.
Yeah, Penn State almost covered the point total by itself. Incredible.
You were right. I mean, 4 first downs. That's one per quarter.
Crazy.
No, as impressive to anything to me is the fact that Penn State managed to score 31 against Iowa. I mean, not many teams can do that. Okay, look, if we're going to make excuses or play the injury game with Ole Miss, let's do it with Iowa too. I mean, they were without 2 of their top 3 running backs and their top tight end. So, when you only throw to tight ends and run the ball, those
tight end
you need them.
Yeah, those players are really important. So that played a role in the game. But hey, why not buy in on Penn State right now? Because with the concerns that I expressed about Ohio State earlier in the Big Ten East, and with Michigan having yet to really be tested, who's to say Penn State isn't the best team in the Big Ten East right now? I mean, if you're ranking Penn State 3rd in the Big Ten East right now, you're solely relying on history to do it. Because based off what we've seen on the field through week 4 of the college football season this year, Penn State has been the most impressive team in the Big Ten East. And so if you can't get there with Penn State, I get it, because they've never broken through to the playoff under James Franklin. But I think it's starting to become more and more clear this is the best, most well-rounded team that Franklin's had so far at Penn State.
David, this week on Saturday night, Tennessee will host South Carolina. It will be Spencer Rattler against Joe Milton. This is a game that Tennessee's got to win. They've got to shine in, and Milton has to outplay Rattler, doesn't he?
He does, or else the Sports Talk Radio in Knoxville next week will be nuclear toxic.
Play the freshman. Go to Nico.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that will be it, and it will only be compounded by the fact that a loss this week comes against the South Carolina team that derailed Tennessee's playoff aspirations a year ago. And Tennessee fans have no love for Shane Beamer, I'll say that. I don't know why Shane Beamer elicits so much hate from people around college football. He, to me, seems like a coach with more personality than most. He seems charismatic. He seems more engaging publicly than a lot of college football coaches are, although Deion Sanders kind of seems to be changing that dynamic a little bit. But, yeah, this is a big one for Tennessee because, much like the Florida game, the South Carolina game this year is one that Tennessee fans circled in July and circled in June as don't even think twice about that one. That's a win. Well, the Florida game didn't turn out that way, and you lost to South Carolina last season. So it's a huge game for the Vols in Knoxville, or else they lose all that momentum from last season. You can get past the Florida game as long as you take care of business against Carolina and A&M. But if you lose one of these next two, then the fan base goes back to nuclear toxic mode.
David, I love this Saturday in the SEC. It's only SEC against SEC. Oh, yeah. 7 games. Everybody's playing against each other, and it has that feeling on the famed, not so famed, no coffee table books about the last weekend of September, but it has that feeling that I say exists out there in the SEC world. It's win or die. You feel terrible on Sunday and late Saturday night, on Sunday into Monday. You start to shake it off and look to the next week, kind of starting, around Tuesday. This weekend in the SEC, teams that lose this weekend, there will be a hopelessness to the rest of the year aspect that I think's overreaction, but it will be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. LSU Ole Miss comes to mind immediately as one of those types of games.
A&M Arkansas.
Yeah, because either a loss for either of those teams, and you're looking at a season that's already off the rails before October has arrived. And then, Florida, Kentucky. I mean, the winner of that one feels like they've got a shot to finish second in the East behind Georgia. Or maybe they get real full of themselves and think they even have a shot at Georgia. So, a pretty good slate, because after this week, you start getting buys all around the league and whatnot, and then FCS teams cycle back onto the schedules in November and stuff. So you're right. This is about as good as it gets from an SEC scheduling perspective for a single week this season.
Yeah, this past weekend was a lot of fun. This weekend should be just as fun. They are always fun. But David, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next Monday.
All right, fellas. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David. A lot of fun to see you today. Thank you, David.
David Cobb from CBS Sports joining us every single Monday to talk some college football. Didn't get any college basketball in there today, but we're going to have to soon. Season's right around the corner.
And David, with a strong feeling, strong take on a lot of players for across college basketball awaiting that clearance from the NCAA, and nobody's getting it.
I hate to hear that, especially with DeAndre. But I think he's right. I mean, we've talked about football and how that kind of.
I hear that almost no chance for Moose Cisse to be eligible.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I don't know the reason that they're now probably putting in there to get an eligibility, but second-time transfer, I would be very, very surprised.
Everybody's sweating it.
Yeah.
And the NCAA is carte blanche, no.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We've seen it in football already this season, so I would not be surprised with how much movement there was this past offseason in basketball, that they don't just say, hey, we're just going to deny everybody, put our foot down, and see what happens. So we'll hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll start getting kind of more answers on that one way or the other as we get closer to the season. But let's go ahead and get to a break, because when we come back, we got to get to our Sissy's Log Cabin, look back at the weekend in the SEC.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Womble, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for a look back at the weekend in the SEC. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies with 9,000 square foot in Laurelwood. Let's go inside the SEC with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Chad Kelly in the gun formation. 3rd and inches for Ole Miss.
Carlton will kick it. It is on the way, and it is up.
Buck Bellew looking at it, going to pitch it to Herschel Walker, try to get him outside. He's going to get 5.
The snap is high. Kelly grabs it, wants to throw, fires it up in the air. Treadwell can't get it.
It is good! Oh, my!
Get a deflection is caught! Deflection is caught! And down the sidelines is Adebayo. He's to the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
He's got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. He needs a block. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel.
And you can wrap this one in maroon and white, my friends.
Arkansas is headed to Atlanta. The national champion is clad in big orange.
Saturday got started early at Kyle Field. Auburn visiting Texas A&M. As I said, I would have loved to heard the handshake and the visit between Ross Bjork and Coach Hugh Freeze down at College Station on Saturday. A&M wins 27-10 over Auburn, but it was a costly win. Connor Wigman hurt. Max Johnson in. Did people have that feeling Saturday of Tanner Mordecai's at Wisconsin and Max Johnson is at A&M? He is. He started at LSU. He was at A&M last year. And the lefty came in and played well. Son of Brad Johnson. 2 touchdowns passing, 123 yards in the second half. Auburn quarterback play was pathetic. It will get a lot better. Auburn fans, trust me. It's going to be you won't recognize this quarterback play in about a year.
Get through this year.
9 of 23 collectively for a 56 yards, 200 yards total offense for Auburn, 10 penalties. Evan Stewart, Hugh Freeze said he was as good as any receiver he ever had at Ole Miss, and we know who he had there. He had 3 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. Auburn this week at at home against Georgia, and A&M in Dallas at Jerry's World against the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. This was a complete defensive showcase from Texas A&M. I mean, only holding Auburn to 56 yards through the air.
Their front's beautiful.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, 200 yards total offense from an SEC team is remarkable. You talk about that front 7 sacks, 15 tackles for a loss. I mean, incredible day. How about this for a stat for you for Auburn? Auburn finished the game with 10 points. Auburn's hockey team outscored Auburn's football team on Saturday.
Has a hockey team? Breaking news.
Brett, they're officially a hockey team.
Really?
When your hockey team outscores your football team, you're officially a hockey school.
Oh, my. Man, it has been a crazy 2 weeks. I was at a game last week that had not 1, not 2, but 3 chain malfunctions.
Oh, yeah. How
now
could you
you're
forget?
telling me Auburn has a hockey team?
I didn't know either until I was listening, and somebody said it. They were like, did you know Auburn has a hockey team, and they scored 17 goals against UAB on Saturday. Wow, didn't have that one.
Didn't know UAB had a hockey
Didn't
team either. Did listen to a lot of the UAB network driving back, and it sounded great.
Yeah.
Saturday night listening to David
They didn't
Crane.
give an update on their hockey team, though?
No, they didn't.
That's too bad.
They had their hands full with Georgia. We'll get to that. But Kentucky, 45-28 winners over Vandy. Devin Leary's still looking for that big breakout game at Kentucky, but 4-0 is 4-0, one of 3 SEC teams undefeated. Okay, in the preseason, all us geniuses, me included, SEC Media Days, who had Georgia, Mizzou, and Kentucky as the last 3 undefeateds?
Not me. Not at all.
Anyone.
No, but I mean, this game was kind of, I mean, I hate to say this about an SEC game, but this was kind of the snoozer of the 11 a.m. slate.
Wasn't it?
Nobody was really paying attention to this one, but neither quarterback really shined in
Vandy
this one.
can do the sleepy Saturdays.
They can do. They're very good at the sleepy Saturdays. But you pointed this out week 0 when you went to the Vandy Hawaii game. You came back and
the rain kept me awake.
It sure did. But you came back and me and Jay Morgan, we were very excited about Vanderbilt. We're always excited about Vanderbilt. And you said, guys, they don't have a run game. They cannot run the ball. And it's apparent every single week. It was super apparent. It just is really bad. And so, but also for Kentucky, they get the win. But 10 penalties for 106 yards? You can't do that against most SEC teams and walk out with a win. So that's something I'm sure they're going to really be focusing on this week in practice.
Best wide receiver in the SEC is a Kentucky Wildcat. Barry Brown, big-time player. 4 catches for 105 yards. Alabama, 24-10 over Ole Miss. We've talked a lot about it. 131-56 in rushing yards. That really much was the game. Pretty much the game. Jalen Milroe, 225 yards. 1 touchdown. A costly interception, though. Jace McClellan was the change of pace back for Alabama. Dart was good. He wasn't great in the second half, and Judkins has been so all year. 7-6 halftime for Ole Miss, and it was all Bama in the second half. Don't count out Coach Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. Nick Saban 15-2 at Alabama against Ole Miss. Bill Belichick 15 straight over the Jets. I warned against that last week.
You did.
Wish I'd listened to myself more. Sometimes the other team, they're just who they are.
Yeah.
And I think Ole Miss and the Jets, that's what they are against those teams.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about, you mentioned it earlier, you go into the halftime 7-6, you're winning the game, and I thought Ole Miss played really, really good in that first half. I thought that defense
had to get more.
Looked great, but it just after halftime, you couldn't get anything really going. You talk about that run game. I mean, that offensive line leaves a ton to be desired, and Quinshon Judkins, I know he's been dealing with some minor injuries to start the season, but he really just hasn't been able to get going. I thought on the other side, Jace McClellan was awesome. He's been really good this season.
Looked like Jahmyr Gibbs.
It really did. And that Alabama defense, I mean, 10 tackles for a loss. It really active, especially in that second half, getting pressure on Jackson Dart. Dallas Turner was in the backfield all afternoon. I mean, yeah. So Kool-Aid was all over the place. I mean, this was Alabama's defense saying, "Hey, don't forget about us."
That's right. Tennessee 45-14 over UTSA. This week for Alabama, they're at Mississippi State. Ole Miss at home against LSU. Tennessee 45-14 25-14 over UTSA. A get-well game for UT. Joe Milton, he threw for 156 and ran for 89. I'm sorry, for 256 and ran for 89. 303 yards rushing for Tennessee. Dylan Simpson with 139 of that, 2 touchdowns. Jabari Small, a touchdown. This week, Tennessee against South Carolina at Neyland, and that if they got well against Texas San Antonio, they got to really get well against South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, this is the game that preseason we were all calling upset watch. You know, get ready, look out for this game. This is going to be a close one. Frank Harris didn't play for UTSA, so, I mean, that's a big weapon for that UTSA offense. But, you know, like you said, just a game for Tennessee. This is a game you should have won, especially without Frank Harris in there. And the fact that they won it big was huge for them. And I'll say this, Tennessee has some really good running backs. I mean, they have 2 or 3 guys, and Milton's a really good runner.
He threw for 156. I got to get that right. I was all over the place. I'm sorry.
But, you know, they have some weapons in their backfield, and I think this was week 4. I think there's been at least 3 games where I've named a different Tennessee running back that had a big game. Saturday, it was Dylan Sampson, who ran for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 carries. So, you know, that run game, if they can get it going, that could be a huge, because everyone's talking about, you know, Joe Milton, that arm, he can throw it, 90 yards, but that run game could be the big-time force for Tennessee's offense.
And that'll make the passing game that much more lethal. LSU 34-31 over Arkansas. The Razorbacks with 14 penalties last week against BYU, 11 Saturday, 25 the last 2 weeks. Jaden Daniels, 4 touchdowns passing. KJ Jefferson, I think he's had a great year. Three touchdowns passing, 289 yards. He did have some interceptions. Arkansas, 8 of 13 on third down. They did everything but win. They really could be 4-0. Instead, 2-0 or 2-2.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this before the show started and a little bit in the first segment. Where has this Arkansas team been this season? I mean, every time I've talked to anybody over in Arkansas or my friends that are Arkansas fans, are like, man, they've won these first 2 games, but it hadn't been impressive. They lost that game against BYU, and it was not fun to watch. And then they come out against LSU, and they play really, really well. It really should have. Over 400 yards of total offense. The thing, still 11 penalties for Arkansas in that game against LSU.
Did it say more about the Razorbacks or LSU?
I think it said more about Arkansas, I would say. I was impressed watching that game on Saturday. But also on the other side, LSU, they have some, I mean, we know about the weapons. They have some weapons. Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors both recorded 130 yards or more through the air and both brought in 2 touchdowns.
And Harold Perkins.
And Harold Perkins on defense. That's remarkable.
Yeah, everybody that plays him. I mean, you've got a game plan around him. He wore 40 last year. He wears 4 this year. He's good in any number. Florida 22-7 over Charlotte. Hangover after beating Tennessee, but 3-1. Graham Mertz steady, and that's all they want him to be this week. Florida at Kentucky.
Yeah, when I was taking notes on all of these games Saturday night, I might have accidentally started writing down notes about Charlotte and had to remind myself, Bryant, this is about Florida. This is not about Charlotte. I got a little excited, but no, you're absolutely right. I thought Graham Mertz had a good game, 20 for 23, 259 yards, 1 touchdown. Also had the catch of the year. I don't care what else happens the rest of the season. That was the catch of the year.
He wasn't injured.
It really was. They called targeting on that play afterwards. So
take your pick.
I mean, absolutely a remarkable play. But it was definitely a good win for Florida. Great cover by, let's not forget, good teams win, great teams cover, Brett. So shout out to Charlotte, but I know that's not what this is about.
Number 1, Georgia, 49-21 over UAB. I love Trent Dilfer's attitude in this game of kind of pressing them and pushing Georgia and running his stuff. 9 catches, 121 yards for Brock Bowers, 2 touchdowns. He will be drafted in the first 35 minutes of the draft next spring in Detroit, next April 25th. Maybe the best player in college football. He's not going to win the Heisman, but he may be the best player in college football. Maybe the second best player in Georgia football history.
He really could be. I mean, and I was talking last year, early in the season, saying this guy looks like an NFL tight end already, and you're telling me he has to play college football another season? I don't care if he's playing Alabama, Birmingham, or Alabama, he is so exciting to watch every single game. I almost, even in these games where it's like Georgia versus UAB or some of those early games where they were playing FCS opponents, I make sure that I watch some of the Georgia game just so I can watch Brock Bowers, because like you said, I really do think when it comes to skill, I think he's the best player in college football.
6'4", 240, will be a junior entering the draft after this year.
Crazy. From
Napa, California. Mizzou, as we know, Georgia this week in the South's oldest rivalry, they go to the Plains and play Auburn. Mizzou, as we know, 34-27 over the Memphis Tigers, 10 catches for Luther Burden. He may be the best player in the SEC if Bowers isn't. 177 yards, 123 yards rushing for Cody Schrader, and Brady Cook maybe with his best college game, 341 passing, 2 touchdowns. But Mizzou was challenged by a very great, I say great effort for Memphis, and a lot to build on.
Yeah, I thought so as well. And I mean, Luther Burden, what more do you want to say about him? After the game, I was listening to the Tigers radio broadcast, listening to Dave do his post game and interview Ryan Silverfield. And Ryan Silverfield said, well, we're going to play a lot of really good receivers this season, and so we really need to tighten up in our DB room. And Dave, as trying to, he just goes, I don't think we're going to play anybody like Luther Burden the rest of the season. You're never going to see anybody like Luther Burden.
And Coach knew it, but Dave,
absolutely.
Dave's right. I mean,
absolutely. But
you saw the top.
Oh, yeah. But for Brady Cook, especially after kind of those injury concerns earlier in the season, to come out and have a game like that, I was really impressed. I mean, he looked unbelievable on Saturday.
South Carolina at home in Columbia, they get the win over Mississippi State, 37-30. Spencer Rattler, 18 of 20, 288, 3 touchdowns. Will Rogers, 487, a touchdown and interception. Tulu Griffin, 256 receiving for State and a touchdown. 519 yards for Mississippi State, 432 for South Carolina. 2 big turnovers for the Bullies. Xavier Leggett, 189 receiving for South Carolina. Shane Train gets the win, but this week they go to Neyland, and at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville, they get the Battle of Highway 82 against Bama.
Leggett is an unbelievable receiver. I mean, we're talking about receivers and tight ends. He's right there up there for South Carolina. But I didn't get to see much of this game just because this was another one of those 6 o'clock games. A lot of big-time games on at that time. And when I looked and saw...
It was a confluence.
It really was. 487 yards through the air, 519 total yards, and you lost? I mean, that's remarkable. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's 2 really good offenses that I don't think a lot of people in the SEC talk about because they're not the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Tennessees, but those are 2 really good offenses, and that was a really fun game. Watching back most of that game yesterday, looking at the highlights, those are 2 really good offenses that could probably play upset down the stretch in the SEC.
They're going to derail someone's season. They're going. Both those teams, I still think, will get bowl eligible. This has been a look back at the SEC, brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. New location coming soon at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary experience because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So I have so many big numbers I could choose from today. So I might throw a couple at you.
Is a negative number allowed?
Sure, why not? I don't know if I have a negative number, but I guess you could. I guess that works. My first big number today is going to be 9. Today in the Sun-Times, which I believe, Sun-Times, which is the Chicago newspaper, Mark Potash, maybe, graded the Bears after their loss yesterday to the Chiefs. 9 is my big number because he gave 9 Fs to the Bears. Quarterback gets an F.
With the Paul Blutarski, huh?
Quarterback gets an F.
Dang.
Running backs get an F. Receivers get an F. Offensive line gets an F. Defensive line gets an F.
We're in Dean Verber's office reading the grades.
Linebackers get an F. Secondary gets an F. Special teams get an F. And the coaching, they get an F. So 9 Fs for the 9 different categories that old Mark ranks positions.
0.00.
Sure is. They did nothing right yesterday against the Chiefs.
Huh. I know the feeling, Bears. I've had some semesters like that. Just straight running Fs right across the board. Wow. Mine is 93.
Okay.
Minus 93. Ooh. Is that allowed? Have we ever gone there?
Well, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big negative number, so sure, why not?
Now, I know how they do rushing in college football. for quarterbacks. But we've only done it like that forever.
Right.
We did it to Tommy Frazier. We did it to Charlie Ward. We did it to Tim Tebow. We did it to Steve Young. We did it to Troy Aikman. It's only the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Minus 93 yards rushing.
That's crazy.
For Shedeur Sanders.
Wow.
He's holding the ball way too long.
He is.
And he has no help in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, he just sits back there. And so last week when they were playing Colorado State, I was at one of my buddies' house, and it was me and a bunch of my buddies watching the game. And one of our buddies came over, and he does not watch college football. He only watches the NFL. He doesn't watch college. And so he comes over and is watching the Colorado game with us. And after 2 drives, he looks over to me and goes, Shedeur Sanders holds the ball way too long. And I go, you're absolutely right. He holds the ball way too long. I go, you are the first person. I said, you are the first person that I've heard say that of any of my friends that watch Colorado every single last week was week 3. They've watched all 3 of his games. Not one person has said that. You're the first to say that.
I almost said it last week, but I didn't want to be negative about him since he was 3-0.
I believe it. And
I didn't think it. Don't believe me.
Okay, well, never mind then. But a great take by my buddy. That was a really good one. I'll throw another big number at you. 70. 70 is the amount of points the Miami Dolphins scored yesterday, which was absolutely remarkable.
It's not set up for that.
No, at all. At all. And I loved after the game, they asked Tua, well, you had an opportunity to kick a field goal and set the all-time points record in a single game. Why didn't you kick the field goal? And Tua said, well, we didn't want to embarrass them. Oh, you didn't want to embarrass them with 73 points. But 70. There's that fine line at 71 or 72 that you can't cross.
And this week, Dolphins Bills.
Yeah.
For early supremacy in AFC East, but also about this with Tua. He's having the year that we all thought
we've been waiting for.
We've been waiting for. It's still one more concussion, and his career's over.
Absolutely. But how about this from the game yesterday? So the Dolphins scored 70 points yesterday. They also had 726 total yards of offense. 70 points is more points than the Broncos have scored all season. They've only scored 69 points this season. The Dolphins outscored them all season just yesterday. And the 726 yards, that's more total yards than the New York Jets have recorded this season. Through 3 games, the Jets have recorded 675 yards of offense. Miami puts up 726 yesterday. So all around a remarkable performance by the Miami Dolphins.
And the poor Jets.
Well, the poor Jets. Yeah.
They got 10 on Bill Belichick. He only got 15 on them. But they got the win. This weekend on our picks.
Oh, I did not have a great weekend, Brett.
Right.
I'll be completely honest.
Oh, man.
My first negative weekend of the season, and I drew a small frowny face beside it.
Yeah, well, we got there with Miami. At least we had a team that scored 7.
That's true.
And it was so
hard to not cover the 6.5 when you score 70.
College, you were 2-4.
Yep. Yeah.
You beat me.
Whoa! Did I really?
1-5.
Oh man, Brett. Oh man.
My only win was my college football lock.
Well, that's
I'm glad.
good.
Hope people went to the bank with
At least it was your lock. Please tell me you had a better week in the NFL at least.
Not a lot better. In the NFL, I was 4-2.
Okay. It's a good week.
Okay,
it's a good week.
4-2.
It's a good week.
And you were
3-2.
3-2. No, you were 4-2.
Was I 4-2? No.
What am I not adding?
Green Bay was a loss, and the Titans were a loss.
What are we waiting on then? How did I have 6 games and you only had?
What were your 6 games? I'm very confused.
I won my shock with I won with Pittsburgh. I'm gonna have to re-examine all this.
Yeah, I only have 5 games, Brett.
I don't know what I'm doing. Again, I'm figuring all this out.
Did you add the
that
2?
Was not even played yet. It wasn't on Saturday.
Is that the 2 points that? Are you adding in the 2 points that you have with the outright shock win? That must be what you're doing. Because we only picked 5 games, but you did have the outright win for your shock with the Steelers. I can't believe I didn't take. Or no, what was your shock? We picked the Pittsburgh game. That couldn't have been your shock.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Huh? We'll have to.
I had Cleveland over the Titans. And No, and then I had Washington.
Washington as your shock?
Mm-hmm. Over Buffalo, they got trounced.
Huh. Well, we're gonna have to figure this out.
Total reassessment.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look over this and figure out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. One of us has to be wrong. But
it's got to add up.
But it's not right now. So I don't know.
Isn't.
I don't know how it's not adding up. But we're going to figure it out during the break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Tigers with Jonah Dillon. That's next on Sports Time.
This is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
At the end of your first year, Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right, everything you earned doubled. All the cash back from eating at your favorite soup dumpling restaurant doubled. All the cash back from that trip where you sort of learned to snowboard also doubled. And the best part, you don't have to do anything ridiculous to get it. Nope, Discover does it automatically. Serious though. See terms, check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days are going strong at Gossett Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Fiat on the Pike. And if you're ready to save big bucks, we Gossett. Show off your style in 2023 Fiat 500X Pop 4-door. Gossett priced at $28,990 or $354 a month with 0% APR. Or take your pick with 2023 Jeep Renegade or 2023 Dodge Charger, now just $422 a month. And if you're looking for big savings on your 2023 Ram 1500, get to Gossett for just $587 a month. And if we don't have it, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike, or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 3500 Elmas financed through Chrysler. Pop PP 988,763, MSRP 31,355. Renegade PPP 45,607, MSRP 30,500. Charger PH 508,657, MSRP 35,930. Ram PN 693, 3965, MSRP 48,330. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/30/2023 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Hey sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on a recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Detroit Green Bay is a monster side and total. Detroit Green Bay critical information confirmed, plus college football. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on a recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread. Detroit Green Bay is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 the season free. Call the recorded message line 1-800-244-5506. Critical information confirmed. I've got it. I love to go 5-0 the season free. That's 1-800-244-5506, or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us to start our 5 o'clock hour, the Tigers football beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, Jonah Dillon, joins us now. Jonah, thanks so much for joining us. It was a big game for the Tigers over the weekend in a neutral site game in St. Louis that didn't really look much like a neutral site game. But what was that environment like up in St. Louis at the Dome?
Yeah, I was excited when the game started because pretty much all we were talking about before the game was why the game was being played there. If it was a neutral site, fans getting upset. It kind of went on. It kind of ramped up the last 2 days before the game, where we saw what the field was painted like, right, with the Missouri logo in the middle, Missouri colors. It was basically, I don't know if they would agree, but it was a Missouri home game. Like, they had their production and everything. Obviously the crowd was very pro Mizzou,
right?
And the field, just the way the game was being produced, everything, they had all their content in the background. But it ended up being a pretty cool environment. The stadium wasn't full, but there were a good amount of fans there, and I think it was big, obviously, that they had been coming off that win the week before against Kansas State, so they definitely had some momentum, and some Memphis fans traveled as well, so it was a pretty solid environment. It was just definitely a weird situation. Like I said, people arguing about who was the home team, what was happening. And then, finally there was a football game played. So it was interesting.
And a very competitive one. And Jonah, I can't be alone in this sentiment. I swear, I feel better. I felt great about the Memphis Tigers prospects for this year. Preseason, I was one of the 9-3 pickers, but I feel so much better about it now after a loss to Missouri than I did after the win over Navy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. You can kind of look at it however you want this game, because there's a lot of positives and then there's a lot of things that you could look at as causes for concern. But in a whole, you look at it, okay, you play an SEC team, now they're ranked in the top 25. And we lost by 7 points. The game was competitive pretty much the whole time. It's not like there was a comeback or anything. Missouri was in control in the second half, but it was close. There were a couple times where it almost felt like Missouri was going to pull away and Memphis hung in there. So I thought that was impressive. I thought it was, there's a lot of positives to take from it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And one thing I noticed early, obviously it was being tweeted out. You did a great job covering it, and kind of you knew about before the game. But both starting and backup kicker out for the Tigers. A walk-on third-string kicker, backup punter, Tanner Gillis has to take over the kicking duties. Did y'all get any clarity after the game about the reason both the starting and backup kicker were out, and maybe kind of the timeline of when they'll be back?
Yeah, that was the main question, and understandably so. How is it possible that both kickers got injured, right? I don't have any more information. Ryan Silverfield said today that they're both day-to-day, which obviously we don't know if they're going to play this weekend. The good news for Tigers fans is it turns out Tanner Gillis is pretty good as a kicker. I wasn't even, like you said, he was listed on the depth chart as the backup punter. So when we were trying to work out pregame who was going to kick, he was mentioned as someone who was a possibility, but I'm thinking, well, he's a punter, so they're going to go with someone else. He has taken experience, in the past, and obviously he played as well as you could expect, right? He hit that 43-yard field goal and get all his extra points. He made a tackle. He did the kickoff. It was a pretty amazing performance for somebody who obviously, the circumstances for him to even have to play were pretty crazy. So I think at least if those two guys are still out this weekend, you can be a little more confident that Tanner Gillis will do the job as a kicker.
almost a microcosm of overall. I feel better about this team going forward after a loss than I did after the win against Navy. I go to Seth Hennigan, and I sure feel that way about him. I know 2 interceptions, but one and just kind of make something happen time. I thought he looked the part. He belonged. He belonged on that field against the SEC.
Yeah, it was an up and down game. I think, I wrote about this after the game. It was kind of, his performance kind of mirrored the offense where, like you said, he looks the part and he can make all these plays. I mean, the touchdown pass in the first half to Joe Skates, I think, it was a perfect pass. It was a fourth down. It had to be there, and he placed it perfectly. And then in the second half, you have the turnovers. Like you said, that interception on the fourth down was, he kind of flushed out of the pocket, and he knew it was fourth down, so he had to just kind of throw it up there so that someone could have a chance. The first interception, that was a big moment in the game that gave Missouri a lot of momentum. So obviously eliminating turnovers is going to be a key, and it's going to be a key for the whole offense moving forward. But, yeah, he threw for over 300 yards. He used a lot of different receivers. Obviously, Rock Taylor had a huge game, and that was the career high for him. And that's a breakout game, and that's big for Memphis because we've been talking about the first couple weeks of the season. It's great that you have all these options. You can throw it at 8 different guys, but you kind of do want there to be a top receiver. And I think that game kind of proved that Rock Taylor is going to be that number one option for Seth Hennigan. So I think that's something to watch going forward. And that was obviously, like you said, another positive to take from that game.
I know people play to win. I know Ryan Silverfield's goal was to win the game. But I also know this, especially with 20-year-olds, how fragile confidence can be. And then when you get it, how determined 20-year-olds can be with it. I saw Seth Hennigan gain confidence. I saw Rock Taylor gain confidence. Was it a known or an unknown that Blake Watson could catch the ball that well?
It wasn't a known for me coming into the season. Like before the season started, we kind of talked about, okay, there's a lot of good running backs, a lot of talent in that room. How are they going to use all of them? And one of the things that we talked about was, okay, well, Sutton Smith is someone that they want to line up as a receiver. They want to get him the ball out of the backfield, and he's going to be the kind of receiving running back. But I didn't realize that Blake had that ability, and he really showed it. I mean, he's doing everything out of the backfield. Obviously, he had a touchdown reception, and that was a key play in the game. And he's really showed that he's a complete back, right? He can do whatever you ask him to do. He's emerged as clearly the top running back. He had 27 touches in that game. And so they're ready to just give him the ball however he can get it.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the defense for the Tigers, you give up 542 yards of total offense. But one thing that stood out to me watching the game and then kind of looking back at the stats after the game is they held Missouri 0 for 8 on third down opportunities. Now, the problem is Missouri only had 8 third down opportunities. But how big was that front seven once they got him to that third down, that third down to come up with stops?
Yeah, it was good. I think the defense, there's definitely a lot for them to take from that game. The caveat for me after the game is, Missouri has Luther Bird in the third, who's just an unbelievable player. It was amazing just to get to watch him play in person. That's the guy who's going to be expected to be a high NFL draft pick. And let's just be honest, Memphis had no answers for him. He was everywhere.
Very few people will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily, that's not an indictment on Memphis defense. That's just, you kind of have to expect that when you're playing against him. Now, there were some things, he's going to be dynamic after the catch, but there were some plays where he was wide open to start with, right? And there were some miscommunications. The first touchdown, it wasn't to him, obviously, but, guys get crossed going past each other, and then you get a deep throw for a touchdown. So it's one of those things where there were some positive things, right? You had to go up against a physical team like you hadn't seen before, and they did some good things. I thought they wore down a little bit in the second half, and obviously that rushing touchdown that Missouri got late kind of ended it, and that was part of it, kind of wearing down throughout the game. But the defense has been impressive so far this season, and I don't think that this necessarily, it was a tough game, but I think that they're going to improve off it and they're going to bounce back.
In all the preseason talk, conversation, hype, and W's and L's, most people, I didn't hear a single one that had the Memphis Tigers winning that game in St. Louis. This week's opponent, Boise State, quite a different story. Just about everybody had that as a win. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. This is a game that okay, you can understand the Mizzou loss. This one's got to go in the left-hand column, then open date, and it sets up the AAC matchup against Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this game, I said this, I think, last time I was on with you guys. I mean, this 3-game stretch, right? You have Missouri, and now you have Boise State, and then you have Tulane. Those are, you could throw SMU in there. Those are the best teams on the entire schedule, right? So they're coming back to back to back. Now, Memphis, like you said, people are picking Memphis to win. The line is 2.5 points last time I checked. So it's supposed to be a close game. Yeah. And I think that, like we talked about the Missouri game, it was, people weren't necessarily picking Memphis to win, but it was a winnable game. And it wasn't surprising really that it was close. So I think it's a big game because when you talk about momentum, if you lose this game, then you've got 2 straight losses, and then you've got the whole bye week for people to get restless, basically, for fans to get restless going into that Tulane game. And that's going to definitely feel like a must-win, I think, at that point. Now, that's a huge game no matter what, because it's a conference game, and that probably is going to have a big deal when you look at the conference standings at the end of the season and, who's competing for those spots in the AAC championship game. But this weekend is a real opportunity for Memphis to kind of right the ship and then regain that momentum going into conference play.
And for the $60 ticket purchasers, they've already gotten a pretty good deal.
Sure
they win this week, they've got a real steal for Tulane.
Yeah, and then like I said, if you get through the Tulane game, then they might be thinking we just got
house money.
So.
Best investment of the year
That's
for
right.
them.
Right.
It really will be. You talk about this upcoming game against Boise State, and one thing me and Brett have talked about kind of throughout the season is you look at these games and some good wins for the Tigers, 3-1, very competitive against Missouri, but they've had a lot of slow starts offensively. It really takes them kind of a quarter before they really get going, or most of the first quarter to get going. What do you want to see from this offense, especially next game against Boise State and then against Tulane, kind of faster starts offensively?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it, faster starts offensively, right? That's what we want to see. I think, one of the things that people have kind of noticed, you look at the game on Saturday against Missouri, there was a lot more success in terms of yardage moving the ball quickly in the second half. And part of that is, okay, Missouri was playing a different defense because the game was, they were ahead, so they're giving you more yardage, if you're going to go short. But at the same time, it looks like when Memphis goes faster and ups the tempo, things have improved. We saw that in the Navy game too. Like at the end of the first half, they had a really impressive drive kind of against the 2-minute drill. So it's possible that maybe tempo is something that can help from the get-go, right? It's not like you have to wait until the fourth quarter to do that. You can do that whenever you want. It's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of talented playmakers, right? We talked about Blake Watson. We talked about Rock Taylor. It's just about putting it all together. And that's one of the things where I don't feel like there's been a game this season where they've really done that for 4 quarters. But in every game, they've shown it at some point. Right. So we know it's there.
It does feel like the Tigers are right at that nice boiling point that it all comes together. The critical self-scout, what do you think Ryan Silverfield would find most wrong with his team? Not coach speak, but a real fair assessment.
Yeah, I think the turnovers, you just can't have that. I think missed assignments. I mean, he talked about this in his press conference today, right? Like, one guy can make a mistake on a play, and that ruins it for everyone.
Yeah, one bust, we all bust.
Happen, right, but if that happens to you 2 or 3 times in a game, that could be the whole game. And that's kind of what happened. We talked about against Missouri, right? Like their first drive of the game, Missouri, they go deep and 2 defenders run into each other and it's a touchdown, right? Then Missouri is up right away and they have the momentum in the game. So that kind of thing just can't happen. It's the execution. And that's what he said today in his press conference is when he went back and watched the film, he just saw the execution that it didn't happen. So I think it's that, and I think it's turnovers. I think Memphis is going to need to win the turnover battle in the next couple games. And, a lot of these things we're talking about, like you said, they're right there, but this is the time where it has to be fixed, right? We can't be having the same conversation next week and then after the Tulane game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Jonah Dillon, the Memphis Tiger football beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. You talked about Ryan Silverfield spoke to the media earlier today, and I saw on your Twitter page that he talked about maybe wanting more neutral site games, kind of threw out maybe Vanderbilt and Nashville where the Titans play. What did he say about neutral site games in the future?
Yeah, people are clinging on to this one. I don't know. I don't have any more information. He kind of threw that out there. There was a question about, obviously, like we talked about before, the Missouri game that happened last weekend was originally supposed to be played here in Memphis,
Right.
and then there was a renegotiation of the contract. People aren't happy about that, and the question was, would you have had a better chance to win if the game was in Memphis? And he was like, sure, yeah. Home games are easier to win than road games or neutral site games. That's obvious. So, yeah, and then he threw out the Vanderbilt idea. People are saying, why can't they play at Vanderbilt's normal stadium? I don't know. We didn't ask him a follow-up question. People are saying, why can't Memphis play against Tennessee? That seems to come up anytime anything is talked about.
Yeah.
So,
Get used to that, Jonah. It's going to come up a lot.
It's the magic button to push here, Jonah. Let me tell you the other topic. Any reseating plan for season ticket holders, you're going to get the blowback.
So all that is coming up, and I think it would be. Look, I think people would love to see those kind of games. I don't know if any of it is in the works. Like I said, people always want to play against UT. I don't know if the feeling is mutual. It seems like it's probably not.
No, it's not.
And like you said, I'm sure that'll come up time and time again.
Yeah, and this is the question that has to be asked with Tennessee. And it was never a continuous deal with them. It was kind of fits and starts playing them, and nothing like Ole Miss. It was always kind of home and home. And for a lot of years, always in Memphis, when the stadium here was just much nicer than the stadium in Oxford or in Jackson. But with Tennessee, would you entertain 2-for-1 with them? But if you do that, lose our number with basketball. If basketball is not home and home, you can forget any 2-for-1 with football would be my stance.
Right. I mean, I think at this point, and especially what we're seeing with college football, with conference realignment and everything, you have to be creative with these things.
Yeah.
Memphis just did that with Arkansas.
They sure did.
And
Good point.
Obviously, these things happen years in advance, so it's not like the game is coming up. But I think it's worth it. Even like we saw on Saturday, getting to play against an SEC team before you get into the kind of big time conference schedule is important. It's helpful because Memphis learned a lot of stuff about itself in that game against Missouri, even though they didn't win. And that's helpful for, any team, especially when you're going to go up against what's probably going to be lesser competition in conference play. So obviously people in Memphis would love to see Memphis play UT in any sense, I'm sure. I'm sure they would be unhappy if that was the deal, but they would still want to go to the game, right? So, and people would love to cover it. So, yeah, I think people would love to see that.
We want good stories.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jonah, obviously one more game for the non-conference slate, and then on to conference play after already playing Navy, but kind of seeing this team through 4 weeks. You'll see them again next week, or this upcoming weekend against Boise State, but kind of looking into AAC play. I mean, what are your thoughts going into conference play, especially kind of seeing what the rest of the conference has done going into the conference slate?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you look around the conference, and it hasn't been great so far. I don't know if I'm crazy to say that, but obviously UTSA has struggled.
It's
People were
gettable.
expecting
Yeah, very.
UTSA to do really well. Again, you have to look at some of the teams that you lose to. So it's like, SMU lost. They lost to Oklahoma. UTSA went and lost to Tennessee. That's not – the sky's not falling because of that. Obviously, UTSA has lost other games, and they have injuries to their quarterback. That's the other thing is the beginning of the season we talked about, okay, the best teams in the conference people are picking are Tulane and UTSA, and the reason is because Tulane and UTSA have the two best quarterbacks.
Quarterback play, yeah.
Michael Pratt and Frank Harris, both those guys have been injured this season. So, what is Michael Pratt? What is he going to be like when they come to Memphis for that game? That's a huge storyline to watch, obviously, for Tulane. And so there's, at the very least, there's question marks with these teams, right? So, like you would have said at the beginning of the season, there's no reason why Memphis can't be competing for the conference championship. And I think more so even now, not even by talking about Memphis, but just by looking around the conference and seeing what these other teams are dealing with. So, as we've said a million times, and we'll continue to say, we have to circle that Tulane game. That's because if you win that game, you're really at a huge advantage the rest of the season in terms of looking at the other teams you have to play and just trying to make sure that you can get into that conference title game. But Memphis it should be right there. That's really the main takeaway.
Yeah, I think you should feel pretty good, but it should be a fun weekend against Boise State, and then as they get prepared to start, very good forecast, but then they'll get prepared to start kind of the bulk of that American Athletic Conference slate. But Jonah, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Jonah Dillon with us from the Commercial Appeal on the beat for the Memphis Tigers, and hit the ground running. He is doing a great job with that, and I say so far this year, a real fun team developing and emerging. And Saturday, got to build to that perfect game against Boise State, and I think they can. The cred of Boise State, I think, far exceeds this current 23 team.
I think you're right. Yeah.
The past legitimacy of
I
Boise
would say
State.
so.
This game's got to be won.
Got to be. But, I still think, the problem is I think we're starting to see some of these past teams. I think you're starting to see it with Boise State. I think you're starting to see it with San Diego State. They just haven't been what they've been in the past this season. And so I think,
UCF got some humble pie in their first Big 12.
All of the Big 12 teams did. I call, and that was part of my bingo card. Shout out AB on Twitter, who pointed out to me Sunday morning on Twitter that all four of
scratch that one off.
Scratch that, give it a big check mark beside it. But no, Boise State's going to come in and still give you a really good game, so they're going to have to be prepared. I think what I heard from the players and what Ryan Silverfield said after the game, talking to Dave and talking to the media, is he said that a lot of the guys were disappointed and upset with the loss, but they all kind of thought that game was gettable, that they thought that they should have won that game. And so I'm hoping that leads to kind of the fire this week in practice, and they come out on Saturday, with their hair on fire, ready to give it to Boise State.
Okay, since I struggle with the NFL picks for the weekend, I was 3-2 as well.
Right. So we're both 3-2.
I didn't pick 6 games and you picked.
I was about to say, did you pick one on your own on Sunday morning or something? Tell me.
Even though I'm keeping the books, I can't do that to you. I can't add a game. So far this year in our preseason, just wins and losses in the AAC. Saturday, you went 8-3, and your season total is at 42-10. Saturday in the AAC, I went 11-0. For a season total of 45-7. So I got you +3 right now in the AAC.
Right.
In the SEC, both of us with 9-0 Saturdays. Last Saturday, we both went 9-0. Both of us for the year, 43-6. Right on the nose.
Wow.
Both of us.
Look at us.
88%.
A lot more games to play, Brad.
A lot of games.
But hey, good start, I guess.
A lot more games. This Saturday in the SEC, as I said earlier, the 7 games all against the SEC. And in the AAC this weekend, the Memphis Boise game, non-conference, is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest conference game, Tulane in UAB. UAB off to a struggling start. I didn't see that in UAB. I thought they would be a lot better than this.
No, but it's been a somewhat difficult non-conference slate for UAB, hasn't it? I don't have exactly in front of me who they've played, but I think anytime you have Georgia on your non-conference schedule, that's a tough start to the season.
And Louisiana.
That's another really good team. So it's been but I think these are good games for that team to play with a new head coach, new players in there. I think it's good to kind of play really good non-conference competition before you get into that conference slate. I think it only makes you better. It can't make you much worse.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean own the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles and Laura Hall, they own the place. Charles started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, Laura, what a great team they are. They own the place, known for all the boots for any season, also clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team for any season. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe, rubber boots, any occasion. They've got the boots at Hewlett & Dunn, but they've got so much more than that. They've got all the Western wear you can imagine, hats, belts, all that. But from head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Dan Post, Anderson Bean, Ariat, whether for men or women, the men and women's clothing, they've got it. Jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to come visit them at 111 North Center Street, or go to hewlettdunn.com or visit them on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapback cool hat you can think of. You'll see them all out in force around college football this weekend and along Tiger Lane. Tigers, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, the Razorbacks, and for the out-of-town trips, the travel bag selection, it's top-notch. HewlettDunn.com, but please visit and say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett & Dunn.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to break down these two Monday Night Football games during our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey, sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on a recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Detroit Green Bay is a monster side and total. Detroit Green Bay critical information confirmed, plus college football. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on a recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread. Detroit Green Bay is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 over the season free. Call the recorded message line 1-800-244-5506. Critical information confirmed. I've got it. I love to go 5-0 over the season free. That's 1-800-244-5506 or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit. Dealer.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Randy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with a 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 due at signing. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 due at signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase. All 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You could just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
So how you like me now? How you like me now? How you like me now? How you like me now?
Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard. ABC's Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Sure is. We're back.
Two of them.
Two of them again, just like last week.
The last one, though, isn't it?
I think so.
Starting this Sunday's the International Series.
Yeah.
We have 3 straight Sundays of game. 1 at London and then 2 at the Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, this one's the early
Am I shocking
one.
you? I knew about the Hotspurs.
Mean, Brett, I've been surprised before by you, but yes, that is surprising. Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham, the Spurs.
That's correct.
And Jacksonville, they got on a plane at some point yesterday or today, and they stay gone a while.
No,
they're
they're never
weeks.
coming back.
Now, the Frankfurt game is later in the year.
Yes. Yeah, so let's see. Let's see if I can figure this out. This weekend, we have the 8:30 a.m. in Wembley Stadium between the Falcons and the Jaguars. Next week, another morning game, Jaguars at Bills at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then, let's see, after that. So that's week 4 and week 5. Nothing week 6. Nothing week 7. Week 8 doesn't look like we got anything.
I thought Tottenham got 2 games.
They might. Maybe it's just different times. I would think both would be early in the morning, though. I'll figure it out.
Falcons, Jags this week. Then next week, Jags, Bills. And then Ravens, Titans.
Yes, you're right. Ravens, Titans.
Yeah.
Well, but what week is that? I still can't find that on the...
Week 6.
Is
Sunday
it week
morning,
6?
October 15th.
Oh, there it is. The only reason I couldn't find it is because ESPN, the way they do it, not a huge fan of it, ESPN, is if you have a favorite team, they put your favorite team
ESPN.
right at the top. And so I was looking for the second game to be that early game because I thought
team is?
some team, I don't know where they were. They didn't show up this weekend for a football game, that's for sure.
But tonight,
they play Sunday night.
We will have the action with the Rams and the Bengals. That starts at 7. The first game, though, it's 6:15 with tonight with the Buccaneers and the Eagles. Yep. That's Baker Mayfield in his biggest test yet.
Oh, yeah.
For the Buccaneers. Nobody thought they would be 2-0. But let's don't crown him just yet. Eagles a 5.5-point favorite. The second game, a rematch of Super Bowl 56 when Sean McVay got his title against the Bengals. That was in Los Angeles. Tonight, that's in Cincinnati. The Bengals are a 3.5-point favorite at that. Give me your best pick of the night.
Oh, this is
You were
tough.
3-2 this week in the NFL? I was 3-2.
Look, I really like the Buccaneers in this first game, but I'm now seeing there's weather in play, that we might have some storms tonight for that one, and I just don't know how much I trust the Buccaneers running the ball. I know I can trust Baker a little bit, so I'm going to go and I'm going to take a stab at this later game. Rams-Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals minus 3.5. This is just a complete shot in the dark because you look at the Bengals, they're 0-2 on the season, but the Rams, they beat Seattle the first week. They covered the spread last week against San Francisco. So I think a good team coming in for the Rams. But for the Bengals, it looks like everybody's getting back healthy. Including that guy over there in Cincinnati. But, I think at some point they've got to show something. At some point they have to show up if they're going to be this team. And for Joe Burrow, I know he's still not 100%, but it seems like he's getting closer and closer to 100%. They've got to do it. I think tonight could be that night. I think a lot of people are going to pick against them and go with the Rams. So for that reason, I'm going to take Cincinnati minus 3.5.
I'm going to take the Eagles as the road favorite. I'm going to lay the 5.5, take them over the Buccaneers. 2-2-0 teams tonight, and barring a tie tonight, we will be down to only 3 undefeateds left in the NFL.
That's true. Yeah, that's incredible, honestly. Didn't think Cowboys were going to, not be in that group after the Arizona yesterday, but whatever. I don't know who that team was. It certainly wasn't the Dallas Cowboys.
The overreaction to a 3-0 Baker Mayfield would be something.
It would be unbelievable. And you know what, Brett?
2 Oklahoma Sooners going against each other tonight.
That's right.
Sorry, Bama fans.
I have not been super impressed with the Eagles this year, or through 2 games this year.
I don't think Nick Sirianni has.
I don't think he has either. But the Patriots, you win 25-20, gave them, 5 opportunities in the fourth quarter to go win that game?
Get 2 feet down and you win.
Absolutely. I don't know what's happening with the Vikings, but another close game there, had some opportunities late. For some reason, the Vikings just don't know how to win. They know how to play well offensively, but they just can't win games. So I just haven't been super impressed with them. And so for that reason, I want to stay far away from this game tonight.
The second game is probably the more glamorous game because it was a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But you got 2-2-0 teams and 2 Monday Night Football games. We will enjoy it. All right, among these 4 teams, and we want yours at 901-360-8255. Just picking of these 4 from these 4 teams playing tonight, your all-time top 4, your Mount Rushmore, your Big 4, whatever you want to call it, the 4 best quarterbacks. There's plenty to choose from out here with these teams. When I said earlier about Doug Williams was a great pro quarterback, Super Bowl winner with Washington, but the started as expansion team with he may have come in a few years after they started expansion team. I want to say Steve Spurrier may have been their first starting quarterback.
Wow.
With the Buccaneers back in the day. He wouldn't be listed as one of the all-time greats with Tampa Bay, but they've had the quarterbacks. They had Vinny Testaverde, really good pro quarterback, and had Brad Johnson win them a Super Bowl. We were talking about his son earlier, Max Johnson. So who would be your Big 4 out of this group?
All right, here we go. Number 4, Kurt Warner for the Rams. He makes number 4 on my list. Number 3, Donovan McNabb from the Eagles. He's number 3 on my list. I think so. I love Donovan McNabb.
I think Donovan McNabb will be in the Hall of Fame, but it will be a long wait.
I think you're right. I think it will take some time, but I think he deserves it.
It's already been a long wait.
It has been. Number 2, Nick Foles. I mean, Super Bowl champ and Super Bowl MVP.
Got a statue.
I mean,
made people eat the stuff in the street.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, name another quarterback that's done that.
Just stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, not many quarterbacks will do that.
Else starting with, with an S.
I really wanted to put Nick Foles number 1 on this list, but then I remembered a certain Tom Brady, TB12, is eligible for this list, and there's no way you can make a list of top 4 quarterbacks that include Tom Brady being eligible, and you don't have Tom Brady number 1. So Tom Brady number 1.
So your top 4 again: Brady
number 1, Nick Foles 2, Donovan McNabb number 3, and Kurt Warner, the now Hollywood star after they made a movie about his life. He comes in at number 4.
And Brian, I always talk about I like champions.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles have had one parade and one time to eat stuff out of the street.
Nick Foles, that's got to be on your list, right?
And Nick Foles did it, right?
He sure did. MVP. Oh, Brett, he's a Super Bowl MVP.
Number 4 for me, Kenny Anderson, and he should be in a Hall of Fame. He is the number 1 passer all time in Bengals history. Number 3 for me, the 6th leading passer in Bengals history. That guy that got him to a Super Bowl 2 years ago already, Joe Burrow. So 4, Kenny Anderson, 3, Joe Burrow. Number 2 for me, it wasn't in Los Angeles, but it was with the Rams, what Kurt Warner did.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he won the same amount as Matt Stafford.
Wow. Hard to believe. That's
Stafford
true.
won in L.A.
Uh-huh.
Warner, but the MVPs, the story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that story.
Greatest show on turf.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible.
I have Kurt Warner, too, number 1 for me. And just in that brief time in Tampa, won a Super Bowl, almost lost the Lombardi Trophy in a river.
Yeah.
He's third leading passer in Buccaneers history.
That is remarkable. You're kidding.
Jameis 1, I think Testaverde 2, and
That's
Brady
crazy.
3. I might be wrong on 2,
Okay.
but I know Jameis 1.
Let me look that up. I'm
Please do.
curious.
But TB12 in
You
that
said total yards, right?
passing yards.
Passing yards.
In passing yards, I'm pretty sure 3.
Let's see.
I called myself looking this up last night.
Yep. Jameis Winston with 19,737. Vinny Testaverde with 14,820. Tom Brady third with 14,643. So
Who
you're
is fourth?
spot on. Oh, let me pull up a list. You're gonna have to give me a second.
Okay. But Brady, he did it in that time. He made that work. Probably stayed overstayed the welcome.
Overstayed his welcome a little bit. Josh Freeman, number 4.
Is that right?
13,534. Number 4, you're now head coach for the UAB Blazers. Trent Dilfer, 12,969.
Number one pick. How far down do you have to go to get to Doug Williams?
Right behind Trent Dilfer. Doug Williams, 12,648. So he's
does
sixth
it say
right
his
there.
first year in the league?
No, but I could look it up.
That's
for you.
okay. Don't worry about it. Because I don't think he was with them first year when they were so bad.
Let's see. He did start his career in 1978 with Tampa.
But I think they came in 76.
Yeah.
And got him through the truly futile years.
Yes,
I mean, just so bad. But Brady came through for them. They
sure did.
They have 2 Super Bowls. Brad Johnson's got to be way down that passing list. But he was good. Ended up with about 28.
No, Brad Johnson right behind Doug Williams. I think, what does that make him? 7th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Brad Johnson, 10,940. Now that's a, 2,000-yard drop-off from Doug Williams to Brad Johnson, but still, I mean.
But was serviceable and was good. And Bryant, for a lot of people, guarantee your dad remembers him here in the Metro playing basketball at FSU.
I bet.
And was that very good, I'm going to use the word again, serviceable 6th, 7th man.
I'll have to ask him because I almost guarantee you he knows my dad loves the Metro.
He was so good. In some classic games. I don't know that he was on the team where Coach Kirk took the team off the court before the game ended or not, but some controversial games against the Noles in those years, especially down there at Tully Gym, one of the bandboxes of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a lot of fun against FSU. That's been our Monday Night Football pick and preview brought to you by Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Whether it's date night, a birthday, after a big win, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Memphis in the Regalia Shopping Center. If you hear the sizzles, hear them right now. I promise you they're sizzling right now. This is how celebrating and enjoying Monday Night Football should be done and how we're going to enjoy it. For any occasion, treat yourself to one of the classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection, then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Trust us on the temperature and trust us on a great time at Ruth's Chris Memphis in Regalia. Plenty of safe parking. Kevin Johnson, a terrific guy. General Manager Jared Wells, his executive chef. And they want everyone to know right now, start your holiday party planning. This is when you do it. This is when you get the primo dates, the primo times, the room that you want. Start it right now for that perfect holiday event for your office, for your family, for any get-together. Open for lunch on Sunday, happy hour Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6, and Sunday, 3:30 to 6. Most hospitable steakhouse in town. Ruth's gift cards always available. Patented boiling method. Hear the sizzles and enjoy Monday Night Football on all the TVs. Visit ruthschris.com to make a reservation and celebrate the right way at Ruth's Chris Memphis.
Well, Brett, it's hard to believe we're at our final break of the day. Today's show has absolutely flown by.
Really
but
has.
Let's go ahead and get to that final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or two. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One, inviting you to join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner every Monday this season. It's Westwood One's 45th year of bringing you primetime NFL games, and the schedule is packed with great matchups. Plus, you'll hear Rich Eisen from the studios with interviews and the latest news around the NFL. Don't miss any of the action every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all of the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive and well, will you be there holding my hand? I'll keep you by my side with my superhuman power. This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that through 4 games, Michael Penix Jr. has recorded game logs that sound like this: 450 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions; 409 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception; 473 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions; and 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Those are unbelievable stat lines through 4 games. What I learned, I guess late Saturday night, Michael Penix Jr. has yet to play 4 quarters of football in a game yet. He's been pulled in every single one of those games because they were winning by so much that the coach said, we got to get a backup in there. So he's putting up over 400 yards passing and hasn't played a complete game yet. That's incredible.
He would be my Heisman vote today.
Me too. I'm right there with you. Absolutely.
I love him. What I learned, it's worse than I thought it would be. I knew it would be bad. I knew it would be borderline just insufferable, incorrigible. I knew it would get old fast. I knew I didn't care if either were ever in my life, but together it's going to be worse than Jessica Simpson dating Tony Romo, and that's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Brett, it just started. Our first public viewing of them was yesterday.
I can't take it anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's actually what I could have done without because it really took over the NFL landscape yesterday when it really shouldn't have. I mean, okay, she's at a game, she's sitting with Mama Kelce, and they walked out together. Cool. But instead of seeing all of these other games, Jordan Love brought back the Packers, scored 18 points in the fourth quarter to win a game, and I saw more Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce than I saw Jordan Love yesterday.
I'm calling it now. Just from the outside looking in. Appears to me she's more into him than him into her.
Maybe. I think
she was glad to be there.
I think a little bit though. Travis Kelce's kind of trying to play it cool, the video of them walking out together. You can tell by the
breakup song written
already. I think that's how Taylor Swift goes about relationships. Is she finds somebody, she waits until she actually dates them because she's writing that song. She wants to have it ready so the moment they break up, she can release that song. Is that what you could have done without as well?
Well, I could have done without September. It's September 25th, but Jerry Palm's bowl projections, he doesn't have Arkansas in a bowl game.
Really?
Out of 82 teams, he has Arkansas not bowling.
How about this, Brett? I saw Brett McMurphy from the Action Network has Ole Miss going to the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. Do you think Lane Kiffin would let them pour mayonnaise over his head if they won the Duke Mayonnaise Bowl?
I'll have to step in and take one for the team.
Can you ask him that pregame next week as if they go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
They throw me under the mayonnaise dumping.
That's great. That's absolutely
I don't want to get
awesome.
near mayonnaise.
No, me neither. Where are you beaming tonight?
NFL undefeated versus undefeated. Give me this first game. 2 Sooners dueling it out. Jalen Hurts, sorry, Bama fans.
Yeah.
But y'all told him to hit the road.
Sure did.
Against Baker Mayfield. After tonight, barring a tie, only 3 undefeated teams remaining in the NFL.
That's crazy. I'm beaming to Seattle, a big game tonight between the Mariners and the Astros. I'm also wearing my sweater. First preseason Kraken game tonight. I do have the sweaters. We're starting to build up a collection, but that Mariners-Astros series, after the Mariners got swept by the Rangers, Astros got swept by the Royals. This is a massive series for both teams.
Huge. Baker Mayfield decision-making will be big.
Absolutely.
Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have to get on the same page.
Yep.
Rams running backs, Cincy may have to play Andy Dalton. Rangers, a must-win at Angels. Astros in Seattle, as you mentioned. Giants on fumes against the Padres.
Yeah, it should be a fun night, but that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis